Public Accounts Committee, their association, which is meeting at 10 o'clock. So I suspect I'm part of the program, and we were not able to shift it yet. Okay, all right. Let me welcome and all participants today, our usual partners, State South Africa. Welcome, who is there, and of course, I should have started with you, Deputy Chair. I must always not take for granted. Welcome and good morning to Speaker Shiba from Mpumalanga. It's good to know you are here with us today. We haven't met for a long time. We hope to do so. And from the Commission for Gender Equality, I see there's the commissioner there, Julie Trobata. Welcome. I don't know whether Councillor Masilela is present, but welcome. Karsban, the District Mayor, Honorable Chirwa, Gumete, Ilembe Municipality. We just wanted to say welcome and thank you for, and all other participants who are going to be able to be present today. I don't, there's likely to be a bit of a challenge for other members to be present this morning, but welcome members who are present of the NA and the NCOP. Let's begin our work this morning by requesting the Speaker of Mpumalanga to welcome us officially.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Chairperson of the session, Honorable Sinoli, and let me also greet the Chairperson of the Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, Honorable Mam Sylvia Lucas, who is also co-sharing with you, honorable members that are present here. Let me also greet the Executive Mayor of Hartsibande District, Councillor Chirwa, and also the Executive Mayor of Enkangala District, Councillor Masilela, and the Executive Mayor of Ilembe District, Councillor S.S. Gumete, representatives from the Statistician General of Republic of South Africa, Mr. N. Rooks, and the Commissioner L.O. Ntuli-Tlobatla from Commission of Gender Equality, and Commissioner E. Rockman, who is responsible for Financial and Fiscal Commission, and also to greet the participants across Hartsibande District and also Enkangala District and Ilembe District. Sanmonan, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all on this important occasion, the Women's Charter Review session convened by Parliament. I hereby extend warm welcome to the representatives from the National Assembly, leading this important nation.
Speaker, you have been muted. You have been muted.
Okay. No, thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP. May I start afresh? I'm not so sure.
You may continue. You may continue.
Okay. Okay. I also wish to extend warm welcome to the delegates, the representatives from across Enkangala District, Hartsibande, and Ilembe District. This session, constituted of women leaders from various sectors of society, shall create platform to share experiences and make critical contribution in the assessment of the 1994 Women's Charter. As we celebrate the life of one of our late gallant struggle heroine, Mama Charlotte Maxege, who would have turned 100 years old this year, we the current generation, still face deep challenges on the stubborn colonial legacy and subordinate status of women in South Africa. While some progress has been made, particularly in the increase of women representation in positions of responsibility, there remain structural barriers which ensure the perpetuation of gender inequality. This session is charged to make in-depth analysis to some of these systematic challenges that hinder progress in achieving effective equality across gender, race, and class. We should pay some attention to the legislative framework, whether effective laws are being passed to achieve redress. An improved legal and legislative framework shall accelerate, amongst others, gender mainstreaming and access to opportunities in both public and private sectors. In this regard, Chairperson, we noted the President's announcement in his State of the Nation address, SONA 2021, of progress being made in the review of the legislative and judicial framework in the fight against gender-based violence and femicide. We should therefore use this platform to reflect, consolidate our efforts, and make concrete proposals towards a more equal, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous society. This review session must look deep into distinct local experiences and find lasting solutions and a safety net for ordinary women across all spheres of society. Government's commitment to promote financial inclusion for women and young people, addressing the skills divide, are some of the serious barriers hindering access to opportunities and progress. As we honor and celebrate the life of Mayor Charlotte Maxege, this generation of women must shift the balance of forces towards the attainment of true equality across genders. This must be our unwavering mission. We therefore call on invited role players, civil society, and pressure groups to fully participate and inject agency during this process as we build a truly non-sexist society. With those few words, let me, on behalf of the Mpumalanga Provincial Legislature, once again welcome you all. Malibongwe. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Ikamala makhosikazi.
Malibongwe.
Kamala Makhosikazi.
Wathinta abafazi.
Wathinta imbokodo.
Wathinta imbokodo.
Thank you very much.
It seems as if the Deputy Speaker have left, or is he still there? But thank you very much to the Speaker. I think we will continue. Deputy Speaker possibly have a problem, but he also did indicate that he's going to attend the Association of Public Accounts meeting. So let me just start by contextualizing the whole review process. And for that matter, can we possibly ask Teboho Modise or for you to just share the session where I'm going to make the input? Is it fine with you?
Thank you, Deputy Chair.
So yeah, I just thought possibly you can just share for the input that I'm going to do, or you can continue up until Malika join us. So
Okay, ma'am.
okay. So you have the program in front of you.
I don't have a program in front of me, Deputy Speaker.
Okay. Now we will ask Sebu then to send you the program. In the meantime, let me continue with the contextualization of the whole review process. Thank you, Chair. To the Deputy Speaker, as part of us, Speaker of Provincial Legislature, Mayor Shiva, Members of Parliament, Particularly, I have also noticed our colleagues from EFF, and I want to express appreciation for their consistency in supporting our program. District mayors, local mayors, councillors, the commissioners present, Commissioner Rockman, Commissioner Ntuli Tluwatla, as well as the representatives from States SA and the representatives of CGE over and above the commissioner. Our constitution definitely lays a foundation for the protecting of women's rights. The equality clause in chapter 2 of the constitution provides the legal framework within which gender equality is enshrined. This clause further prohibits discrimination against anyone on the grounds of race, gender, sex, sexual orientation, and ethnicity. The Constitution further lays the basis for the repealing of many pieces of discriminatory legislation and for the introduction of progressive rights-based legislation that takes cognizance of gender realities. The empowerment of women and girls and the realization of their human rights are essential to the achievement of the Beijing Declaration and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Achieving gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls is integrally linked to ending poverty, eradicating hunger, and achieving full employment and decent work for women. The attainment of these goals is essential to the promotion of human rights, which is essential to the livelihoods, well-being, and resilience of women and girls. Integral to this is the ability of women to be free from all forms of violence, discrimination, and harmful practices. While a progressive legislative framework has been put in place in South Africa, there are still significant challenges in ensuring that women's rights are promoted and protected. 2019 marked 25 years since the adoption of the 1994 Women's Charter for effective equality, and that is what necessitated a 25-year review of the entire women's rights regime in order to take stock of the achievements garnered since 1994 and to assess the systemic weaknesses that continue to impede the advancement and realization of gender equality in South Africa. That's why for the past months, we as Parliament have been crisscrossing the country, district by district, gathering information on how to change the material conditions of South African women for the better. We have been doing this by embarking on this review process of the Women's Charter, which was robust and was underpinned by a strong law reform component, focusing on the review of policy and legislation currently in place from a gender perspective, with the aim of identifying policy gaps and gaps in legislation. Honorable members, participants, if we are serious about changing the material conditions of women, then the appropriate legislative framework and implementation plans must be in place for this to happen. It is, however, important to note that this alone will not necessarily eradicate gender inequality, as the implementation of the strategies and plans that emanate from legislation will determine its ultimate outcome. A key measure for ensuring gender transformation and equal participation between women and men is the allocation of budgets to effect policy and legislative changes. The link between economic and political empowerment is key to enhancing the equal participation of men and women in decision making. Economic and political resources must be accessible to both men and women in order to address the inequalities. We are looking forward to the 2021 National Budget speech this afternoon to hear government plans in accelerating the gender transformation. A budget is just the most comprehensive statement of government social and economic plans and priorities in tracking the flow of financial resources. Gender responsive budgeting can determine how public funds are raised, how they are used, and who benefits from them. Therefore, implementing commitments towards gender equality requires intentional measures to incorporate a gender perspective in planning and budgeting frameworks, as well as concrete investment in addressing gender gaps. In conclusion, to the class of 2020, would like to take this opportunity to congratulate them for the resilience shown during difficult circumstances, particularly of the COVID-19 pandemic, which saw their academic year disrupted several times. to the parents of those kids, continue playing a proactive role in the education of your children so that we can start with the building blocks of a developmental state. To those learners, and there will always be those that didn't make it, we want to say do not give up. There are several options you can explore. They can either embark on supplementary exams, or another option available is to consider vocational training. Throughout these decision-making processes, they will need our support. Parliament's constitutional mandate requires that it provides a meaningful opportunity for the involvement of the public in its legislative and other processes. With today's process, we are being true to our mandate of being the People's Parliament. Having voted us into these positions, you have placed us at the core of public discourse through the creation of platforms of engagement with the public and sectors of society, particularly the vulnerable and marginalized. We have continuously saying that, and we are saying that again. Help us to help you to be your own liberators. For that, I think we have contextualized the process that we are following, and I hope the Honorable Modise have got access to the program, because we will give over to her now to chair the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson. Now we are going to the social cluster, whereby I'm going to call Mr. N. Rocks from the Office of States, South Africa.
Ma'am, it will be Soli from
Soli.
State South Africa. Yes,
Soli,
ma'am.
okay, Soli. Yeah, the platform is yours, Mr. Soli.
And let me just, on behalf of our office, apologize to Soli, because he's been with us since last week, but we've become so used to Neil, we have not yet changed the program.
No, it's okay, ma'am. It's okay.
We will make sure that you feature it. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you can see the presentation.
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Morning, colleagues. My name is Soli Mulai from Stats SA. I'm just going to take you through the presentation. I think the best start to understand what is the population of South Africa. So this is based on the mid-year estimates, 2020, and we estimated around 59.62 million South African. I think in the next slide, we are now breaking it down in terms of provinces. And as you can see that the three provinces, which is Gauteng, KZN, and Western Cape, they are more than half of South African are actually residing in those three provinces. Mpumalanga, we've got around 4.68 million that reside in Mpumalanga. If you break it down by district, the three districts from Mpumalanga, the two represent around 61% of the population, in Enkangala and Garet-Sebande. If you break it down by gender, you see that about 50.7% are female and 49.3% are males. And this is for Mpumalanga. And as we break it down by district, Enkangala is the only district in Mpumalanga with the highest rate of male. If you look at the percentage for Enkangala, it's sitting around 51.04, whereas the other district, if you take Garet-Sebande, is around 49.86%. And I think the other way of looking at the population is also to look at it in terms of the age categories. Here, what we're trying to demonstrate is that if you look at the age, children under 15 within each province, Mpumalanga, it's sitting at position number 3, is around 36.1%. And if you look at Gauteng, which has got more of the youth and adult population, so that's the bottom bar for Gauteng, and you can see it followed by Western Cape. So Mpumalanga, it's just below Eastern Cape. What we also we've been tracking is trying to understand the children living arrangement. So in this slide, we're trying to understand whether are they living with their parents or one parent or both parents. So here, nationally, 1/3 of children are living with both parents, while 42% lived with mothers only. And if you zoom into Mpumalanga, you realize that it's around 46.5 that indicated that they live with mothers. And you can see the blue light bar where around 5.4% only said they lived with their fathers. And if you look at those who said they lived with both parents, it's around 25.6%. The other indicator that is very important, especially for this session today, is to try to understand whether in a household there is anyone who's is being employed. And as you look at the slide, for female headed household, for Mpumalanga, around 42.3% indicated that there's no one in the household who's employed. And if you compare it with the male counterpart, it's around 20%, 20.8%, which is almost half of the female household, which in a way, it tells you that the female household, most of the female household, they don't have anyone who's employed in that particular household. The next set of slides, we are going to zoom into what we call it the money matrix poverty. This is one of the indicators that we are using from StatusAid to try to understand the poverty line. So we have three poverty lines, the upper bound, the lower bound, and the food poverty. I think for today, we're going to concentrate mostly on the food poverty line. So the three pie chart, they are trying to profile Mpumalanga in terms of the poverty line. If you look at the last pie chart, which is the poverty line, 26% of the residents of Mpumalanga can classify them as poor based on the poverty, food poverty line. And if you look at against the national figures, which is around 25.2%, you see that in Mpumalanga is slightly higher when you compare with the national figures. And even when you look at with the other poverty line, you can still see that for Mpumalanga is quite high compared to the national figures. This slide, or the next set of slides, they look at what you call it a multi-dimensional poverty indicators. And this gave us a holistic view of poverty because the previous one we were looking at the money matrix poverty line. So this set of indicators, or the 4 dimensions, they give us a sense of trying to understand how poverty, it gives us a sense of measuring poverty much better. We look at health, education, living standard, and economic activities. For economic activities, you'll see that there's even a sub dimension, unemployment. And I think in the next slides, you will see how the unemployment is driving poverty, especially in Mpumalanga. So the multi-dimension poverty, if you looked at it from the census data to 2001 and 2011, and the last point is the 2016, which is our community surveys. You compare it with the national, you see that they are almost the same. However, for Mpumalanga, there's a slight increase. If you look at the 2016, it was around 7.8% compared to 7.7% for national. Although over time, in terms of multidimensional poverty, it's been dropping. But then if you compare it with the national picture, you see that Mpumalanga is slightly high. Break it down by district, you see that in Enkangala, it tops in terms of the multidimensional poverty in Mpumalanga. It's sitting around 8.2% of the household that we can classify as they are multidimensional poor. So if you compare it with the other 2 districts. This is the slide I was referring to in terms of understanding what drives this. If you compare, you look at the unemployment as a driver and compare it across the 3 data points. In 2001, it contributed around 33%. And in 2011, it increased from 33% to 40%. And you can see that in 2016, it's now sitting at 52%. So it shows you how unemployment contributes as a big, it's got a high share of contribution into the multidimensional poverty. And if you look at the other indicators, that actually they're actually dropping in terms of their share. This is also a key slide if you want to understand how the household income, salaries is still the main one. However, but the remittance and grants you can see for Mpumalanga, for remittance is sitting around 16%, grant is sitting as 22%. And if you compare it with the national, it's slightly higher by 2% percentage point. Even for remittance, national is sitting at around 11%. And Mpumalanga is sitting around 16%. We are now going to look at the service delivery. And I think in these slides, we are going to look at the electricity, access to electricity, water, and sanitation. Let's start with electricity. Over time, and because this is our collection over a period of time, we've seen that Mpumalanga is always being above the national figures. It's now sitting around 90.1%, which is quite good because it shows that there's more of households that are connected to electricity in the province. Let's zoom into sanitation. The red block, it's trying to give you a sense in terms of when you compare it with 2002 and 2019, you see that the green line, which represented Mpumalanga, in 2002, it was around 50.7%. And in 2019, it's now sitting at 63.7%. Although there's an improvement, but then it's still below the national figures, which is sitting around 82.1%. Let's look at the 3 districts in terms of water, electricity, and sanitation. You look at Harold Sepande, it's sitting in terms of water around 91.5%. Enkangala is sitting around 90.2%. And if you go to electricity, you also can see that the percentage are also around 80-85 for Harold Sepande and Enkangala. And sanitation, I think that's the reason why it's still a little lower than the national. You can see the breakdown of the district. If you look at Enkangala, it's around 55.5%. And Enkangala is sitting around 28.7% in terms of access to flush or chemical toilet. And this is the 2016 our community survey. We are also going to look at the vulnerable groups, and this is how we define the vulnerable groups, defined as part of the South African population that experience a high risk of poverty and social exclusion than the general population, and women amongst these groups. And I think in the next slide, it will become more clear in terms of what are some of the indicators that we are measuring. Firstly, let's look at the households that have access to agricultural, households that have agriculture. So you can see that Mpumalanga is sitting at number 4, around 81.2%, which above the national, which is around 13.8%. And you can see your Gauteng and your Western Cape are actually at the bottom in terms of this indicator. Looking at the household that have reported hunger, female household for Mpumalanga, you're sitting around 14.4%. If you compare it with their counterpart, which is 11.6, it shows that there's more of the households that are female head household females that have reported that they've suffered from hunger compared to their male counterpart. This is another slide which I think it also gives a clear picture when you look at it in terms of the female household and the male-headed household. You see that for Mpumalanga, you're sitting around 24.9%. This is for female-headed household. When you compare it with the male-headed household, it's still lower, higher compared to the male-headed household. And you can see when you break it down by district, Enkangala is still got the highest in terms of percentage for female-headed household. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next slide, which look at the gender pay gap. This is based on our quarterly labor force survey. We've been tracking this indicator since 2013. Here we are looking at the median monthly earnings. And this is quite interesting because we are looking at it against the median monthly earnings. And you can see in 2013, it was sitting around 71%. Now we are sitting at 76%, which means that women main monthly earnings were around 76% of the main monthly earnings. So as much as there's a 5% increase, but it's still below the main monthly earnings. Break it down by provinces. In Mpumalanga, females earn 75% of the main monthly earnings in 2018. You can see that if you look at it by Gauteng, compare it with Gauteng, it's sitting around 81.6%, and Mpumalanga is sitting at 75%. And yeah, it's still female are still earning less than the male counterpart. Experience of violence. These are the three indicators: the physical violence and the emotional violence, and also the sexual violence. I must also say that this is a very difficult indicators to measure because these are most of these are occurring at the household, and it is quite challenging in terms of trying to get the data, and also the sample size also it's always quite small. However, but with this survey, we managed to also look at these indicators for physical violent ever experience. You're sitting around 21%, and if you look at in the past 12 months, it's around 8%, and you can see that for sexual violence is around 2% and 6% ever experience. If you break those three indicators according to provinces, Mpumalanga is sitting at, for all the three, actually the first two, they're sitting at around 26% for the first one and 21% for ever experience emotional violence, which is around 21%. And ever experience sexual violence is sitting around 7%. That's for Mpumalanga. And I think, Chair, that's my last slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Soli, for giving us an update. Now, I'm going to call upon from Gender Commission, the state of gender transformation in Enkangala and Sibande district. I'm going to call Commissioner L.O. Ntuli Tloubatla from Gender Equality.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair, for the opportunity to speak. Let me quickly apologize. I have an audio challenge. I'll be using my phone. Am I all audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Thank you. I had to be sure. I come from the Commission for Gender Equality. Our constitutional mandate is to promote respect for gender equality and the protection, development, and attainment of gender equality. That is our overarching function. And we have additional powers and functions as prescribed by the national legislation, which is to monitor, to investigate, to research, to educate, to lobby, and also to advise Parliament and report on issues concerning gender equality. That is our overall function. Our vision is that of a society that is free from all forms of gender oppression and inequality. Just to give an overview, our work as a commission is also located in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, which talks about issues of addressing the imbalances of the past, the ideal that is located in the Constitution that talks of equality at all levels. We subscribe to that as a commission. Then one other thing that I just need to bring out as part of background is that it's important for us when we deal with gender issues to identify different roles, situations, different needs, interests of women and men in the world of work and also in the society, because there are always differences when it comes to that. And also we come from a background that understand that we've got imbalances of the past that needs to be addressed at all levels. And when we come to issues of redress, women, persons with disabilities are in the forefront. Then also as part of equal opportunities and also as part of giving a background to gender transformation, we need to bring to the attention of Parliament that we have what we call practical needs. When we talk about practical needs, we are talking about immediate needs, things like housing, things like water and sanitation, access to water, food security, healthcare, and so on. Those are what we call practical needs. And we have what we call strategic needs. They relate to position in society. They talk about access to resources, access to credit, access to education, just to name a few. Then we come from a historical background where every time we talk about issues of gender transformation, we need to bear in mind that we have what we call gender-related challenges that we continue to face as a country in general and in Mpumalanga in province. And the very same challenges are being experienced by both Sibande and Enkangala districts. Those are gender relations, poverty, access to basic needs, access to employment, are those challenges that we come across, not overlooking challenges like globalization, implementation of laws, and the common thing that is gender-based violence, which has become a second pandemic that we continue to face as a country. On implementation of laws, I need to bring it to the attention of the members of Parliament that we have good legislations as a country, but the challenge that we have is the implementation of such legislations. Let us implement our Employment Equity Acts, our Skills Development Acts, what is contained in the Constitution, the CGE Act, the Social Offences Act, just to name a few. Once we robustly implement such legislations, we will see a lot of progress and transformation, gender transformation in our society as a whole. I won't explain what gender transformation is because I'm moving from a premise that we are all on board what gender transformation is. Well, let's now come to the specific things here. We talk about employment equity. The equity target here that is expected is at least 50%. Let me bring it to the attention of the participants here that nationally, we are at 42%, which is below the equity target. And you come to Mpumalanga as a province, we experience the same problem. They are below the equity target, meaning the advancement of women into senior management positions both at Kharsibande and Enkangala remains a challenge. Then we have also what we call women-led programs and extended public works programs. We can report to Parliament that those are taking place in both districts. From the CGE side, we have conducted gender mainstreaming at Kharsibande district and also at Enkangala districts, because we feel that gender mainstreaming is a strategic tool when it comes to the attainment of gender equality, which is the expected area where we need to find ourselves at. Then we work with SALGA, we work with the Office of the Premier, departments and municipalities. We are happy to say that the ongoing work of gender mainstreaming is taking place since we have initiated the process. CGE has also done gender mainstreaming in faith-based organizations, since we feel that they are a critical part of transformation in the country. We have also what we call a memorandum of understanding that we signed with the Provincial House of Traditional Leaders that granted us approval to work with structures in the local houses to promote gender transformation within the traditional setup. We working closely with the Office of the Premier in Mpumalanga, in both the regions, Khatsibane and Enkangala. We made sure that we establish a structure that we called Amakosigati as part of transformation. Our aim here was around dealing with all the challenges that Amakosigati face, because they are leaders in their communities, issues of gender transformation, issues of economic empowerment. We also make sure that we linked them with the Department of Culture in the province, that they continue to get ongoing support from government. The Commission for Gender Equality has also done investigative hearings on gender transformation, where the Enkangala TVET College had to appear in front of the Commission in 2020, because as a commission based on our investigation and research, we realized that there are issues of gender transformation that needs to be attended to in that particular area. We have a number of entities that has appeared in front of the commission: Vodacom, Woolworth, Toyota, Pick and Pay, because our work here stretches across both private sector and public sector. The Commission for Gender Equality also works closely with the SABC radio stations. Here we can name Ikwekwezi FM, Likwalakwala FM, Mkondo FM, Emalahleni FM, and Rise FM. We continue to use such platforms to educate, develop, and empower our communities on gender transformation. Various platforms have been used by the Commission to educate about our mandate, raise awareness on issues of sexual harassment, gender-based violence, and so on. We also did what we call an investigative report on the state of shelters in the province. We embarked on a gender transformation initiative with the Mpumalanga University, because we couldn't miss out on the opportunity of empowering the university, because we also believe that prevention is better than cure. Bringing the university on board on issues of gender equity, gender equality, gender-based violence, and gender transformation was essential. Then let me move and share criminal cases that were monitored by the Commission for Gender Equality at Khatsibande. We do this under the banner of amicus curiae, meaning we become friends of the court on issues of gender-based violence cases that are taking place in court. At Khatsibande, there was a case of a domestic worker allegedly raped by her employer at home in Piet Retief. Mr. Peter Swart case was postponed for the 6th of April, 2021, since he has applied for review in Middelburg High Court. Another case that is of an uncle who allegedly raped his two nieces. The case is partially in the Caroline Court taking place there. The other case that we supported at Kharsibande is around a young girl who was allegedly raped by a police officer on the 9th of August, 2020. It's said that this happened on a very important day, the 9th of August, where we celebrate women in the country. When CGE is monitoring cases or our visibility, we make sure that it's there. We also ensure justice, ensure that the law is being implemented the way it's supposed to take place. We also have criminal cases that we have monitored in the Enkangala district. Also, we continue to do that in line with our amicus curiae responsibility. And Inyanga that killed an albino, this was very much all over the news, allegedly killed an albino for body parts. It's at Emalahleni. It's one of the cases that our legal officer attended to in court. There was another one of a teacher that has beaten his girlfriend with a pole as she wanted to take their child from him. The video, we all know about it. It went viral. The accused Thomas Manana case has been postponed to the 25th of February, 2021, which is tomorrow. When CGE is monitoring the case, we always emphasize that our visibility is there to ensure that justice is one thing that we always emphasize. There are several sexual offenses, gender-based violence cases monitored by CGE in this district. And we want to put it clear to Parliament and also to the community that we are here to serve and we are here to support. People must feel free to visit our offices and report any case or in an event where they need support. The Commission for Gender Equality has also conducted advocacy work, outreach programs, legal clinics, and in every municipality, at Kharsibande or should it be in Enkangala, we make sure that we work with grassroots communities and rural communities with that commitment that we want to empower them and ascertain the issue of gender equality and human rights of our grassroots and rural community. Also, the CGE was instrumental in the establishment of men's forums in municipalities, and we also work with churches in making sure that these men's forums do take place, because we feel that men have a pivotal role to play when it comes to issues of gender transformation. At Kharsibande, we worked at Chief Albert Lutuli, local municipality. When we go to Enkangala, we were there at Steve Stewart, local municipality, Emalahleni local municipality, Vitakanyi local municipality. And at Malahleni, we had additional programs with a faith-based organization, the Roman Catholic Church in Akhaville. We have also worked, let me quickly move to the next slide. Also, I need to bring it to the attention of the participant that CGE in 2019 had what we call consultative hearings into the state of shelters in the province, because we are not happy about the way shelters were being conducted. To us, it looked more like secondary abuse, because they move from primary abuse at home, and when they arrive at the shelter, it becomes secondary abuse in the sense that the environment was not conducive for a person that is going through that area. So what happened is the commission identified gross inadequate and misaligned funding of shelters, and this was echoed by numerous research studies, media articles, to name a few. In turn, what we did in the shelters, they appeared before the commission. It's the Butler's shelter, the Grip Etumkondo, also the Victim Empowerment Center at Standerton. Those are the shelters that were represented by the Department of Social Development, and they appeared before the commission. Then part of our work also as a Commission for Gender Equality, emphasizing the work that we have done in the districts, was around customary marriage, because we felt that more empowerment is needed here, and to develop a clear understanding on customary marriage and the legislation that deals with customary marriage, the Customary Marriage Act. But we also, as the Commission for Gender Equality, we did make input into the Maintenance Act, the Customary Marriage Act. The Customary Marriage Act, in short, we can say is recognized as a valid marriage in terms of the recognition of Customary Marriage Act number 120 of 1998. This means that the marriage must be entered into in line with the traditions and customs of the parties that are concerned. And the parties that are getting married in line with the customary marriage must be 18 years or older. In short, we can say customary marriage is a marriage that is negotiated, that is celebrated, and that is concluded to any system, and that should be based in line with indigenous African traditions. And also it's vital to make sure that when a customary marriage is being concluded, especially the lobola negotiations, there should be a celebration that is concluded by both families as part of further emphasizing this. But also let me mention that it's important that parties that are involved in a customary marriage, they must make sure that they register the marriage to make sure that they authenticate it at the end of the day. Part of the work that the Commission for Gender Equality has done is around widowhood, whereby we noticed as a commission that widows had a challenge when it comes to income tax, that it leaves widows more poorer. The impact is mostly felt by widows of deceased government employees. There is a need to look into the relaxation of the income tax law for widows who work and receive the monthly pension of their deceased spouses. The challenge that was highlighted by the widows here was that they usually find themselves at a lower bracket, but immediately they receive money from their spouse's pension and so on, that move them from a lower bracket of taxation and elevates them to the next bracket, which becomes a financial burden. The implications of the next bracket creates a financial burden that leads to the widows finding themselves now that they owe SARS because of the higher level. And then some widows have been penalized, and SARS has taken money directly from their banks. And this accelerates the pattern of poverty. In attending to this, the Commission for Gender Equality in Mpumalanga made sure that we had a session whereby we sat down with the widows, and also in 2020 during lockdown 11/544, we sat down with SARS where we attended to this, and there are some form of education that SARS made sure that they educate the widows around that area. Let me also mention challenges that we have identified during our intervention programs as the Commission for Gender Equality. We can identify rape and murder in the last 3 months of 2020. We are happy that Minister for SAPS did give the statistics last week, and the numbers were horrific, and they pose a challenge to us as a community to do something, either to vehemently eradicate that number or drastically bringing it down, the rape and murders numbers. We realize also that persons with disability continue to experience discrimination and lack of support, especially in our police stations. For an example, those that need the utilization of sign language, whereby a person has to report a case, but when they arrive at the police station, there's no sign language interpreter to assist. And often enough, people that report are women, and the fact that there is no sign language interpreter, it becomes a hard blow on gender-based violence. And we have noticed also as the Commission for Gender Equality that human trafficking is accelerating, and it's accelerating in Mpumalanga. Remember, we have 7 to 8 entries, exit and entry points, and other human traffickers use job opportunities abroad as an opportunity to lure unsuspecting clients to engage, thinking that they'll be getting jobs, only to find that they are being human trafficked. Let us remember the Emalahleni local municipality incidents of a house that was used for human trafficking. Gender-based violence, we rely also a lot on non-government organizations, non-profit organizations, but we also need to make sure that they receive enough resources so that they continue to push the mandate, and also continue to make sure that people that seek help in the NPOs and the NGO get the necessary support. And without adequate resources, that becomes a challenge. We also have issues around maintenance and registration of customary marriage. People are strictly advised that do register your marriage. Don't wait for a situation whereby there is death, then you start to remember that I need to register. Let's do this on time. I'm repeating it again because it's a common factor, not only in Mpumalanga, but nationally, where these marriages are not being registered, and it creates a problem when somebody has deceased. Also, we need to emphasize that gender transformation needs to be prioritized in all municipalities as a matter of agency. Also, the other thing that I need to bring to the attention of the participant is the plight of farm workers, the plight of the girl child, the plight of domestic workers. Those are the things that when we develop programs under gender transformation, let us think about these previously disadvantaged communities. As I move towards the end, Deputy Chairperson, let me share some few tools that we feel as the Gender Commission can assist participants, stakeholders, and beneficiaries in transforming and also in working better within their organizations, within their entities or their sectors. The Gender Barometer, which was developed by the Commission for Gender Equality in 2009. This is an online web-based gender equality assessment tool. It's a strategic tool. It's very useful. It helps in terms of tracking issues of progress, issues around gender mainstreaming. We also have what we call the Gender Inequality Index. This is also a strategic tool because it helps in the measurements of gender equality. And also it's important to state that this measurement tool, it shows how far or how close is an organization or a country in achieving a gender equality society. So you can use this to track your progress as an entity. And also, let me also share the purpose of the Gender Inequality Index. It also aims at supporting evidence-based and better informed decision-making in an organization. So let us familiarize ourselves with this particular tool. It will assist us a lot. Let me share, as I'm actually closing, that if a person have a gender-related complaint, report it to 0800 007709, and also to share that we have a Twitter handle, and we are also found on Facebook as the Commission for Gender Equality. We have officials in Mpumalanga that are committed to work, that are committed to service, that are committed to monitor, to investigate, to do everything that lies within our mandate as a Commission for Gender Equality. And let me also acknowledge that those commissioners officials from Mpumalanga province are in attendance, and we also have people from the national office and other commissioners that are in attendance. Thank you very much. On behalf of the Commission for Gender Equality, we appreciate the opportunity to present. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Now I am going to call my last speaker on this session, and I hand over to my colleagues, Deputy Chairperson. I've seen Honorable Maleka is in the meeting and Honorable Ndongeni is in the meeting. They'll chair the next section. My last speaker on economic cluster overview is Ms. E. Rockman, Commissioner. Commissioner, the platform is yours. And thank you very much for being a good audience. Thank you. I hand over to Honorable Maleka. Ms. Rockman.
Good morning. I'm not sure if I am audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
I have started the video. I'm not sure also if that is on the screen. But good morning, Honorable Deputy Chair of the NCOP, our members, our councillors, and all other participants. Thank you very much for the opportunity. The primary focus of the Financial and Fiscal Commission is the equitable division of nationally collected revenue among the three spheres of government and any other financial and fiscal matters. The newly introduced district development model consists of a process by which joint and collaborative planning is undertaken at local, district, and metropolitan levels by all three spheres of governments. It builds on the white paper of local government as the next step towards achieving our vision of developmental local government. National and provincial governments are required by the Constitution to support and strengthen the capacity of municipalities to manage their own affairs. The district development model is a practical intergovernmental relations mechanism to enable all three spheres of government to work together with communities and other stakeholders to plan, budget, and implement in unison. An IGR fiscal mechanism, system, and process must be an inherent key element of this. We need to reflect and determine to what extent our budgeting instruments and processes have been adapted to reflect the new district development model. It appears that this is still largely work in progress at all three levels of our government. At local government level, our IDP and budgeting processes of course go hand in hand. The one simply does not exist without the other. These processes should not only be outwardly reflective, but also find expression from an internal institutional perspective. Research conducted by Toad, Satoli, and Williamson in 2007 investigated the extent to which women's issues have been incorporated at local government level and concluded that municipalities tended to lag behind national policy and guidelines in giving priority to the goal of gender equality. The original IDP guide packs included guidelines for mainstreaming gender in IDPs, and they set out an approach in which gender was incorporated into each stage of the IDP process. The then Department of Provincial and Local Government also launched the Gender Policy Framework for Local Government in 2007. It emphasized the role that the IDP can play in mainstreaming gender in policies and implementation plans of municipalities, as well as the importance of introducing key people. such as gender focal points, the structures such as gender forums, and monitoring and evaluation mechanisms to institutionalize government's commitment to achieving gender equality. National government thus set the parameters and provided crucial starting points for municipalities. This Women's Charter review process provides us with an opportunity to assess the progress we have made to realize the overarching commitments to non-sexism and gender equality in the strategic and operational work of municipalities, and to identify the areas within which we must consolidate and strengthen our focus and our implementation actions. The FFC has previously also conducted research which reflected on the gender perspective taken up in IDPs and budget at local government level. Our presentation also reflects some of the key findings of that research. It appears that we've had for some period of time largely lost the momentum of a more holistic and comprehensive gender-based budgeting approach that was characteristic of the early years of our democratic transition. The gender-based budgeting approach and planning is an approach that aims to mainstream gender in economic policy making, and it seeks to transform the entire budget process. But it is not the development of a separate women's budget. It aims to achieve gender equality, but not only gender equality, but also fiscal equality, which is equally important. The work that is done by the Women's Multi-Party Caucus with regard to gender-responsive budgeting and planning cannot be overemphasized. In March last year, the Women's Multi-Party Caucus reflected on the shortcomings in institutionalizing gender-based budgeting, particularly the draft GRB framework. And some of the shortcomings identified reflects whether we have achieved the stage that policy framework will strengthen institutional capacity at national, provincial, and local level for aligning service delivery with the imperative of promoting gender equity, the lack of expertise in the state to take up gender-responsive planning and budgeting, the difficulty in accessing disaggregated data for reviewing, planning, and budgeting processes from a gender perspective, and the lack of a framework to incorporate gender as an analytical variable into our monitoring and evaluation processes. Now, gender-based budgeting must be aligned to national development goals on gender equality and women's development. It must translate these goals into fiscal policies and programs. And of course, our challenge remains, as always, to move beyond theory to practice. We need to find a way to practically and publicly express a view on the correlation between our planning, budgeting, and public expenditure from a gender perspective in our democratic institutions of governance. The voice of Parliament, the NCOP legislatures, and municipal councils will undoubtedly assist to take this narrative forward. The realities of Black African female-headed households being the poorest of the poor, unemployment rates being historically higher for women than men, and gender inequality reflected in wage gaps must find direct reflection not only in the annual vertical division of revenue between the three spheres of government, but also within the horizontal allocations that we make within the budgets of national, provincial, and local government. Minomondi is going to take us through the presentation on the research previously done by the FFC that I alluded to. Thank you very much. Nomondi, can you take over?
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, honorable members and colleagues. I hope everybody can hear me. As Commissioner Rockman, I will take over from the study that the FFC has done. I'll just move on to slide number 3, where FFC is of the view that one avenue that should receive greater emphasis to gender budgeting is through the IGFR system, where we are of the view that the IGFR system should be sensitive to the needs of women and contribute to moving them out of poverty. And this can be done by innovation in policy design, and implementation to ensure that there are resources are allocated on gender-sensitive issues. So the FFC conducted the study to assess the gender responsiveness of municipal budgeting process. The study, it looks at 2 approaches. It randomly selected 30 municipalities, and then it reviewed their IDPs to check if they are gender sensitive or gender mainstreaming. And it also looked at case studies in 4 provinces. The particular focus in the analysis of this methodology, it looked at four sectors, which is the LED, the local economic development, the water and the sanitation programs, the early childhood development, and housing infrastructure, because FFC was of the view and is still of the view that these indicators of variables, they do assist in alleviating some burden on women and girls in the country. What I would also like to highlight in the IDPs that were done, also the Mpumalanga province, the Heart Sibande district was part of that, as well as the Emalahleni and Mkondo municipalities. So they were part of the reviews. And before I continue, I'd like to say that when we looked at the Mpumalanga municipalities, especially the Heart Sibande and the last 2 municipalities that I've mentioned, we did find that there are some efforts in place to gender mainstream in their programs, like in terms of gender equality, in terms of gender equity. Find that if the other municipalities have moved on with gender equity issues, the other one was sort of lag behind on gender equality. But we found out in general, including the Heart Sibande, that they do make efforts and feature their gender mainstreaming in their programs in the province. And also coming to the study, as I've mentioned, the study, it generally looked at the municipalities that I've highlighted, as well as some provinces. And the findings to the results of the IDPs that were reviewed was that generally across the municipalities that were reviewed, there was lack of gender mainstreaming and women empowerment as an approach by the municipalities. Where there is data, you found that data is not disaggregated. If it's disaggregated between females and males, it's only for population purpose or unemployment. It's not used or as a feature that it can inform in terms of gender mainstreaming, in terms of how many women are there or girls, boys, so that the programs can be gender sensitive. Also, we found that in terms of equity, most of the municipalities that were reviewed, it's more about equity, that we have hired these many numbers of women. In terms of equality, like equal opportunities and conditions, that information was lacking. Also, there was weak translation of gender equality commitments into fiscal commitments. What do we mean by this? We mean that the IDPs showed some little evidence of the manner in which the IDP planning process and budget offices have budgeted for gender mainstreaming. And moving on to the case studies in the provinces that were reviewed, we found as well similar approach, that there was poor translation of the national agenda on women empowerment and gender equality into local government programs. And the data as well was not disaggregated, that most gender programs are more of events driven. If there's Women's Day, you will find out the province will be doing some particular event, but after that, there's no sustainability. It will come again next year. In terms of also another finding was that there's lack of gender budget training and capacity building for decision makers. That means those that are supposed to be implementing and mainstreaming their gender programs, they lack the training and as well as capacity. As well as there is poor institutionalization of gender responsive budgeting, and also absence of analysis of the gender impact to the existing revenues and expenditure, that in terms of in this, the impact of gender in terms of revenue, who is benefiting, so that information was lacking. Some of the reasons for limited gender mainstreaming and gender budgeting at local government were highlighted as the absence of an approved gender policy across municipalities, the absence of a municipal gender mainstreaming strategy. As I've indicated, those who make decisions have limited knowledge of how to do this, as well as gender equality indicators, and the collection of gender disaggregated information was lacking. So in light of this, the FFC made some recommendations where the FFC recommended that the national and provincial governments should run gender budgeting pilots in a few municipalities first and evaluate results before a wider application can be conducted. The FFC was of the view that these pilots could be linked to ensuring gender disaggregated data for key conditional grants can be the start, as we know that some of the conditional grants like the ECD, the infrastructure grants, they can be used as a pilot approach in terms of this. Also, the national and provincial government should ensure municipal integrated plans, integrated development plans are institutionalized into gender planning by sector. Like I've mentioned that there are 4 sectors that have proven that they do alleviate plight of women, like the water and sanitation, the local economic development, the ECT programs. So the FFC is of the view that if perhaps some of these sectors can be institutionalized and include gender disaggregated information on that, it can be used as a good practice in terms of guiding gender budgeting guides and toolkits. Also, the FFC recommended that the national and provincial government should provide guidelines for the collection of this data for budgeting process and ensure that municipalities have the capacity to analyze budget from a gender perspective. And I've highlighted in the findings that those that were supposed to be implementing this, they don't know how in terms of training as well as capacity that is lacking. In terms of the response, government response at the time was that government supports the proposal, as it was of the view that it will indeed help ensure that the collection and allocation of public resources is effectively carried out and contributes to advancing gender equality and women's empowerment. It will provide tools to assess the different needs and contribution of men, women, boys, and girls within the revenues, within the existing revenues and expenditure allocation, and will call for adjusted budget policies for the benefit of all. In terms of at the local government, the FFC also recommended that the local government should institutionalize gender responsive budgeting process linked to their IDPs, build capacity for gender mainstreaming and gender responsive budgeting at local level, ensure gender responsive appropriation and budget allocation takes place, as well as public participation and consultation at the local level. The response by government in terms of the response, in terms of this recommendation was that gender responsive budget analysis, along with legislation and other practical policy measures, can indeed address gender bias and discrimination in the country. It is a step towards increased accountability and public transparency, and it can shift economic policies leading to gains across the society for everyone. However, the proposal implementation may be hindered by capacity constraints at the municipal level. So that is my last slide. And FFC in this current year is also conducting a study in relation to gender budgeting in terms of fiscal policy, which will be tabled as well. Thank you, Chair. I'm done.
Thank you. Greeting to the deputy chairperson of the NCOP, Honorable Lucas, and the Speaker of the Legislature, Honorable Shiba. councillors, the executive mayors are present, and my co-chairperson, Honorable Modise. I'm going to continue the program, and I want to request the presenters to stick on the time. We are only having 15 minutes each presenter to do so. I'm going to share the session of the district perspective towards a gender integrated development planning approach. So I want to request the Councillor S. Masilela from Enkangala, the district mayor, to give us towards a gender integrated development planning approach to improve the status of women in the district. Over to you, Councillor S. Masilela. 15 minutes only for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, may I start by indicating that the Executive Mayor of Enkangala District, Councillor T.S. Masilela, is unable to make a presentation today because of the council sitting that is running parallel to this meeting. It started at 10 as well. However, she has delegated that I can make the presentation on her behalf. And I am Dr. Tebogo Maduane Ngabinde. I am the Executive Director, General Manager of Social and Community Services at Enkangala District, if that is in order, Chair.
Yes, you can continue.
Thank you very much, Chair. On that note, let me observe protocol and greet yourself and all the honorable members that are here, all the leadership that is here, and allow me, in the interest of time, to say all protocol observed, and perhaps start our presentation by a quick overview of what we will cover in this presentation, Chair. We will just look broadly on the areas before we get onto the actual articles. Okay. May I request that perhaps I'm given an opportunity to share my presentation? Can I?
Yes.
Okay.
The host will assist you.
Okay, yes, I think she has. Is it now visible on the screen, the presentation?
Yes, there is a presentation on the screen. You can continue. That is on conclusion.
Okay, I'll start here. Thank you. I've corrected myself. Is it now in order, Chair?
Yes, presentation outline. Yes, that's
yes. Thank you very much, Chair. We have just done a brief presentation outline that covers the brief background about Enkangala. I'm not going to waste time on that because the CGE and Statistics SA has actually covered that. I will then also go into your guiding policy and legislative framework, specifically focusing on gender equality and women's empowerment. I'm also not going to go into detail into that. I think pre-speakers did justice to that. I will just zoom into the institutional enabling framework for gender mainstreaming in our case and look at specifically Enkangala status report on the Women's Charter. As indicated, I'm not going to go through the brief background and overview, but I think what is important for us to highlight.
May the host those who are not on the platform. Mr. Empire, please mute yourself. Thank you. Continue.
Thank you very much, Chair. I was going to say what is important that has been highlighted, though I want to point it with a matter of emphasis, is the fact that we are the most richest district, despite the fact that statistics that have been drawn already shows us that we are the most impoverished. All the mines that you can think of, your BHB, Billington, Anglo-American, Extrata, are actually housed in Enkangala district, despite the fact that women are not benefiting in the way that they're supposed to benefit from these establishments. I would also not go into the legislative framework. I think everybody has gone into that, but Chair, allow me to indulge on the enabling factors that are your functional institutional arrangements and establishments. In all municipalities, we do have fully functional gender units. Chair, it is not without challenges and an area of improvement, because in other municipalities, as you'll see when we detail in our Women's Charter Progress Review, that we actually have, we still have gender desks where there's literally a desk and one person. So whilst we appreciate the fact that there are municipalities, there are government departments, there are private sector institutions that have got units that are fully fledged, we continue to advocate and lobby for more so that we are all in uniform. We also wish to highlight the fact that we do have a gender budget allocated to us. As FFC has indicated, gender budgeting is an important element of gender mainstreaming. And we want to appreciate the fact that in Mpumalanga, and in particular in Enkangala, we do have budgets that have been allocated to respective gender units. We continue to stage a complaint, Chairperson, the fact that you would find that they have clubbed a lot of programs together with this budget. For instance, in our case, it's transversal services. And when we talk about your budget in all of that, they would say it's 500,000, and you think perhaps it's a lot of money. But unfortunately, inside that 500,000, there's children, there's women, there's the elderly, there's the disabled. So eventually you'll end up with 100,000 per program, which is not sufficient. And as you'd know, Chairperson, when the cut starts, it starts there. If there is a need, especially now going towards local government elections, and there's issues around your roads, your water, we remain the target. We are the first one to be thought of as less important, despite the fact that women are the majority suffering in our communities. We wish to also indicate that we do have coordinated interventions in the district through the district gender machinery, which is coordinated through the social cluster, which sits quarterly. And we have in place plans to increase the sittings to bi-monthly, so that we attend to issues of gender-based violence and femicide more robustly, given the fact that they are a presidential priority. Gender mainstreaming is rolled out as indicated. We do not have much challenges. I would want to also indulge the sitting chairperson on the gender statistical analysis. I had CGE pushing through those ones, but safe to say, just going through the slide, just the last part of the slide, the totals, you'll realize that out of 7 executive mayors, we've got 4 that are women. Out of 7 speakers, we've got 3 that are women. Out of chief whips that are 7, we've got 5 that are women. So it actually tells you that there are instances where we take up to 80% of gender representation. On members of the mayoral committees, we have 20 out of 18. And out of the municipal managers, that is where the struggle is. We have 2 over 7. So we continue to be underrepresented in managerial positions where decisions such as your gender budgets and your gender mainstreaming are actually taken. On overall in senior management, we are not doing very bad. There's 11 over 17. Chairperson, I'll go straight to the first article and look at its review insofar as the status is in Enkangala. We wish, I've talked to the issues of institutional arrangement, that they are there, they are functional. We do have your mentorship and coaching program via the Women's Caucus that is also functional. We also are able to run programs and projects. For instance, your training and capacity building for women. We recently had a women SMME development capacity building in terms of assisting them on how to register your company, how to make sure that it's tax compliant and all sorts of things, how to prepare your tender documents and make sure that you access the economic opportunities that are presented by the tender sector. So we do not have really issues there, but our important thing is the challenges, Chairperson. We continue to be targeted.
Was attending another meeting on our side.
Please, participants, can you please mute yourself? The host must mute all of the people, only the speaker must be unmuted.
Then, as indicated, Chair, thank you. We have our challenges with regard to your reduced resource allocation. Whenever there's budget cuts, we are the first one. We have issues, as I've raised earlier, on the gender desks in the various local municipalities, that there's still gender desks, not gender units, whereas we are fighting for the units. And unfortunately for us as Enkangala, we are a predominantly rural municipality, and we continue to want to reach out to women in the rural areas and farms, but there's still barriers there because of your transport issues, your unemployment issues, even with domestic violence and other forms of gender-based violence. When it gets to that area, it's difficult to find that they don't report because the police station is still far, or they are scared that even if they go to the police station, it will have to call for court cases and they'll have to regularly have to travel, which they don't have money for. That continues to be our challenge. And we also have the shortcomings that I've indicated already. There's 2 municipal managers that are women in the district, and that says we have a shortcoming with regard to achieving a women's balanced participation in your public decision making, as well as political in some instances, because the figures that I've presented, Chair, are from Enkangala district, the municipality itself, but you'd find that as you go to other parts in the district or even in the province, the representation is rather skewed favoring men. Moving on to Article 2, we do have that legislative framework that governs us, your SALGA transversal terms of reference, the transversal strategy that is actually cascaded to all municipalities to ensure that it's institutionalized at various local municipalities. And we also have your national strategic plan on gender-based violence and all others. So I will not waste time on detailing on those, but important to indicate that the challenges remains the cultural barriers that are affecting women's access to justice. And I've actually given an example. The issue of pervasive domestic violence, you'd know that during the COVID-19, Enkangala was amongst the top district with the highest levels of domestic violence, especially violence, Chairperson, that is targeted at your LGBTQI plus communities. Some ended up being actually killed. We continue to have the challenge, and discrimination also, of course, because we are a predominantly rural district. We unfortunately will have those people that are still rigidly holding on to the discriminatory cultural practices. Issues of, amongst other challenges, is our limited access to legal aid. I've also talked to that when I talked about the example of accessing court, and sometimes I'm just very worried, as a rural woman, I'm just very worried of the fact that the person that is my husband is working will come with a lawyer. I'm unemployed, I will not have a lawyer in court, therefore I just cancel the case. Unfortunately, the legal aid, whilst we know that they've got offices for rural and farm areas, they are located distant, and some don't even have the basic information of such a service. So that is part of our challenges, and we continue to struggle to combat the gender stereotypes that you'd know are typical of a rural community. On Article 3, Chairperson, the local municipalities have offered various types of economic opportunities, even economic assistance. We do have a program that looks at SMMEs and supports them with equipment instead of even opportunities, equipment to start up and all of that. We are always mindful of people, of women living with disabilities. We are often mindful of the young people as well. We provide your financial training in that regard, so that there's robust economic participation by women. The challenges continues to be those, as I indicated when I started. We do have mines, but unfortunately, we do not benefit as women in as much as we think we should be in that economy. And we also struggle with their gender representation. Mines always do not want to share with us their gender representation, so that we are able to see if we are strategically placed there to can influence the decisions that are taken there. Chairperson, on article number 4, education and training, we using the workplace skills plan as our yardstick in this regard. We looking at all employees across the district, across the departments. We even have the Mayoral Academic Excellence Awards where we prioritize young women, despite the fact that it's open to everyone, but we look at your disadvantaged groups in terms of facilitating access for them to education and training, through providing bursaries for those young women that are from disadvantaged communities, the disabled, to make sure that they can access formal qualifications. This is also open to our women councillors, but we note with concern that some of them prefers not to take the full qualification, but want to do your short courses, which is a disadvantage, but we continue to encourage them. The challenge really is the fact that the allocation is always little. We could have done more in terms of promoting the girl child and making sure that they access education, but unfortunately, because of the allocations, we are restricted to the number that we can take. On a normal day, we take around 30 to 36, and remember, it's not only young girls, we also have to include all sectors of the society depending on how well they've done academically. So that would limit the placement as well. With regard to Article 5 on development and infrastructure, Chair, the issue of facilities for gender-based violence victims, we do not want to say shelters because we know government has taken a stance to move away from shelters and to make sure that they are comprehensive. They are more your trauma centers that you can heal and go back and be integrated. But we want to indicate that there are those facilities, but they are very, very minimal, Chair. We continue to advocate for additional facilities for gender-based violence and femicide victims, especially in Enkangala, because they are very, very, despite the fact that they are available, they are quite, not every municipality has got such a facility, so that is really a challenge. We also want to appreciate the fact that we do have residential facilities for older people. Infrastructurally, that's a very good thing for women, because unfortunately those that are unemployed women are tasked with this function of looking after the elderly, and therefore would not seek other job opportunities. So for the fact that we have them, they alleviate some form of burden from women. The same goes to ECD centers. And Chair, we do have reasonable access to houses, water, sanitation, electricity, but unfortunately, we want to say, we continue to say they will not be enough, because as long as there are still women that do not have access to this, it does not therefore make us anywhere next to having attained those. We want to lobby as one of our challenges the funding for additional victim support centers. And Chair, we've mentioned political instability as one of our challenges, because one mayor would come and be very committed towards the cause of gender-based violence for argument's sake and making sure that we get additional support centers. And when she's removed or he's removed, the one who comes prioritizes something else more than that, and that becomes a challenge, because it almost seems like we are singing one song. I'm almost done, Chair. Article 6, we are not having any complaints. We think that everyone who is supposed to be accessing social grants are accessing social grants, and those that are supposed to be accessing your free basic water and electricity are accessing that. We think that there are really intense HIV/AIDS awareness programs that continues to target at women and highlighting the plight of HIV/AIDS infection among young people, especially because in our case, it's young people, females within the ages of 15 to 24 that are troubled by the pandemic. We also continue to mainstream this into your COVID-19 interventions, because as you'd know, the third killer is with COVID-19 is those that has got HIV as a comorbidity. So we continue to mainstream and make sure that all our COVID-19 outreaches mainstreams HIV and AIDS and benefits women as well. Into your Article 7 of political and civic life, we have all the formations, I've mentioned them, including the Women's Caucus, that are very functional, so we do not have much challenge in that regard. other than the fact that we continue to focus on rural women, especially your rural traditional leaders, because you know that is a sector that's got serious challenges. On family life and partnership, we worked very much closely with the Department of Social Development, of Education, of Justice, and other organizations. And those are some of the programs that we run: the Girl Talk, Under the Tree Dialogues, and Take a Girl Child to Work, and your Izazi Camp. So we are not having such a challenge with regard to the systems in place, but our challenge, Chair, is the teenage pregnancy that's on the rise. For reasons that research has revealed, it's due to the sugar daddy syndrome that is scourging throughout most of our communities. Because of unemployment, the working men take advantage of the young women, and that is how we end up with high levels of teenage pregnancy. We also have bullying in schools that is rearing its ugly head, and we have interventions and recommendations of how we are trying to deal with those. On Article 9 on custom, religion, and culture, Chair, I've spoken to the fact that we are a predominantly rural municipality. So issues of your gender stereotypes and your custom and culture are unfortunately predominant, but we need to continuously deal with the stubborn persistence of patriarchy, the religious norms, most of which are very patriarchal, your customary practices, including your polygamy, that is usually disadvantaging women. We continue with advocacy and lobbying and inputting into broader agenda of legislative reform, Chair, because there are pieces of legislation that continues to also perpetuate that. Talking to Article 10, which is your gender-based violence against women, I have covered it, but our intense focus is focusing on men and the boy children. We have in the district the speaker of the district as the champion of gender-based violence, so that at least men and women looks up to someone who they can see in higher positions. And we have also the civil society organizations that are your men against violence against women and all of those. So it's a very active sector, but safe to say we wish to highlight our challenge with regard to the rape, the gender-based violence targeting at LGBTQI community, Chair. But importantly, we wish to also indicate that because of the fact that we are such an economic hub, issues of drugs and substance abuse, as well as human trafficking amongst young girl children in your areas such as Emalahleni, are a worrying factor and something that needs us to really target intensely on. Chair, as I come to the last slide, we have Article 11 of health. I have covered most of it when I talked about health and aligned to HIV, AIDS, and your COVID. And Article 12 on media, we continue to have a challenge with regard to access to information and your recent technologies, especially for rural and farm women, because those are areas that have challenges and unfortunately do not have access to information. With the new norm, it's important that we start looking at how we bring them into the mainstream communication streams, such as your Wi-Fi's and all of the targeting, of course, rural and farm areas, so that we do not have the challenges. Chair, that is importantly the last slide. And in conclusion, Chair, it's just really issues that I've highlighted on your lobbying and advocating for the full participation of women, for making sure that we've got access to resources across all departments and municipalities, to make sure that all units across all the government departments are functional insofar as not being desks, but being fully fledged women, fully fledged desks, pardon me, and issues of budget as indicated. I will not leave out the communication and advocacy campaign, especially for rural and farm women. Thank you very much, Chair. That brings me to the conclusion.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor, for the brief presentation, and thank you to stick on the time. You will use your 15 minutes as allocated. I'm moving to Councillor MG Chirwa District Mayor of Gertsibande with the same presentation on the Gertsibande. Over to you, Honorable. Councillor MG Chirwa.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Mamalika. The Executive Mayor, UMG Chirwa, is on the other meeting. So he has delegated the MMC in the office of the Executive Mayor, who is dealing with the special project, MMC Nolikwantlabo. So I'll be presenting. The presentation will be shared. I think I've got officials in the office who will be sharing the presentation on the screen. Let me greet yourself, Chairperson, and greet the honorable members of Parliament, the Speaker of the Mpumalanga Legislature, the executive mayors who are present, the councillors, all councillors who are present here, all the participants. Safe to say, let me observe all the protocols. It's still, the presentation is still does not appear from my side. Mam Kwanazi.
Okay. Morning, MMC. I'm still trying just to connect it. The host is supposed to open for us so that we can screen that.
You have been given sharing rights. You can go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to the next slide.
That's that notes.
Yes, the content of our presentation. Firstly, it will be in the introduction and the background, which I think I will not deal much with them as it already has been dealt with. And then there's a gender machinery women charter, gender-based violence plans, challenges and intervention, recommendation, and a conclusion. I will therefore shoot straight to the next slide. I won't dwell much on the introduction. Yes, the gender machinery. I'm not sure, can you just move the slide to the left, because there are words that I can't see. Structures are in place within the Gertsibande district municipality to advance the equality agenda, which includes women empowerment, equity policy, procurement policy, and it's also in our IDP and budget. And Gertsibande district municipality has ring-fenced the budget for women. Next slide. On equality, the municipality recognized the importance of equality by having an equity employment equity policy and review it every 2 years. The recruitment policy and those who were previously disadvantaged. On economy, there is a procurement policy in place which ensures that procurement is done for women. Although for now it's only 25%, but it's incremental. The Garsibande District Municipality have the Siyathutuka program, which is funded by the Garsibande District Municipality, which has employed 185 females, and we pay a stipend of 2,000. It's 2,300, and for the coordinators, the stipend is 3,500. And this program of cooperatives that of closing a pothole in municipality. And the district has also bought equipment and donated it to all the 7 local municipalities in order to assist the cooperatives, especially those cooperatives of women who are patching potholes in our municipalities. Oh, the slide is moving up and down now. I can't see. Can I be assisted? The slide is moving up and down here. I can't see. Women cooperatives that are operating bakeries in Chief Albert Lutuli and Gavon Begi were supported with bakery equipment, e.g. specialized oven to bake cakes. And women in Mkondo and in Dr. Pixley were also supported with sewing machines and also the sewing materials so that they are able to improve in their cooperatives. On educational and training, women are trained and encouraged to be independent. Can we move the slide a little bit on the left because I can't see a little bit. The supporting for cooperatives that are owned by the majority of women. Yes,
Councillor Chapo, can you please minimize the tab on the right of your screen so that you can be able to see the presentation?
Okay, they are doing it I'm not the one who is doing it. They're doing it for me. Ma'am Kwanas, can you do exactly what they are saying?
I'm with Ma'am Kwanas here. You need to just minimize that tab on your left so that you can be able to see the screen. The one that shows the pictures or the videos of the other participants.
Oh no. Okay, I think I'm fine now. Women cooperatives that are operating bakeries in Chief Albert Lutuli and Gavon Begi were supported with bakery equipment, e.g. specialized oven to bake cakes, And women cooperative in Mkondo and Dr. Pixley were supported with sewing machines and materials. On educational training, women are trained and encouraged to be independent. The district is supporting cooperatives that are owned by the majority of women. Currently, there are 18 cooperatives that are supported by the district. The district has given 18 bursaries to female students out of 42 students. On social service, we conduct a dialogue to gather information and to share with women. On political and civil life, a multi-party women caucus is held every financial year where all political parties participate. On family life and partnership, the municipality also has got a program for family life. Next slide. On custom, culture, and religion, the district is having a moral regeneration forum, and the different structures meet and discuss issues of culture, religion, and social, and the role of women in all of the above. In all programs that the district is hosting, different interfaith is also integrated, and also our traditional leaders are also participating. Violence against women, the district has organized prayers, marches, and awareness programs for gender-based violence. Those activities are organized where this thing shows its ugly face. And also these prayers were also encouraging all those who were affected by COVID-19. On health, the district has a program, District Aid Council, which is chaired by the executive mayor, is in place to inform and sensitize women regarding HIV, TB, and STIs. The District AIDS Council is sitting quarterly. Local municipalities are presenting their reports together with the Department of Health. On media, we encourage women to speak out using radio station, television, and social media to empower one another, share challenges, experience, and come up with a solution. Next slide. On development, infrastructure, and environment, the district is working together with the Department of Environmental Service and Department of Social Development to ensure that women issues are taken care of, such as information regarding daycare centers and how to access funding and quality infrastructure. On law and administration of justice, we're working with stakeholders such as the SAPS, Department of Correctional Service, and Tutuzela centers to ensure justice for abused women. The sexual harassment policy in the workplace is in place, and women are aware of this policy so that they are able to report if there are any sexual abuse that is happening in the work environment. On the women development and empowerment, the district has set aside a vote that is specifically ring-fenced to assist women to intensify GBV and femicide awareness campaigns. Youth and boys in Daba, we also engaging and discussing the women issues of that particular ward, the ward-based programs. Initiated programs for coaching and mentoring of young women and women in general in municipalities. We have also initiated program to support the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, transsexual, intersex and queer and questioning, the LGBT IQ plus community in municipalities. We had a meeting in this regard in the district municipality. And we have also established a women desk we wish to establish a women desk in all the municipality. It must not fall under the transversal issues, because on the transversal issues, we can see that everything is put there. Some of the issues, especially issues of women, are being neglected. And our plans on gender-based violence, we also have much against GBV and femicide and inequality. Next slide. The gender-based violence plan continues social and behavior change program to discuss women are using Nyaupe. Nowadays, we see that there are girls that are using Nyaupe, who are taking dacha, smoking dacha. You know, our girls nowadays have become something else. So we're having that plan, and girls who are now street girls who are living in streets, and that of the glamorizing of liquor by women celebrities. We see on our TVs the adverts of the celebrities glamorizing the use of alcohol. So we need to deal with that issue. On men's parliament, we discussed GBV. It must also be discussed more about women rather than them. We have boys assemblies and door-to-door campaigns, GBV dialogues, local radio station slot on GBV, Kimoja programs on substance abuse. That is our plans as herself. The plan continues. We continue do marches on gender-based violence and femicide. We also do programs on tavern for taking responsibility as tavern owners for those people who are drinking, not to sell them, and when they see that they've already taken too much of alcohol. And also not to give them credit, because families are suffering because at the end of the month, all the money is going to pay the credit, the debt that they've done. So families are really suffering. And also comply with the age restriction. We don't want to see young people roaming around on taverns drinking, but we need to comply with the age restriction. And we also do street champion on GBV, preventative developmental programs. That's one of the Taguan Rime. Men and women dialogues on GBV. edutainment, like sports and education, training on Bright Star programs, brilliant self, brilliant relationship, and brilliant leadership. Next slide. On challenges, we have seen that families are hesitant to report cases because of the stigma, especially on rape cases. If maybe a father or uncle in the family who is a breadwinner has raped a child in the family, those families, they become very shy to report that case because of the stigma, and because of that person is a breadwinner in the family. So that is a challenge. And police stations do not often offer immediate assistance, and at times mock the victims. So victims are shy to go to report their cases at the police station. That is the challenge that we are having. And also women with disabilities are not helped accordingly. For example, no interpreters at the government offices and at the police station. So it's very difficult for them to go and report as there is no one who will be able to interpret what they are saying. There is an income inequality for most of women, and thereby suffer abuse. This one, I think it was also mentioned in one of the presenters that, like for instance, if a woman is maybe a domestic worker, and the husband is working maybe in the municipality, is getting a salary that is more of than that of the woman. So that woman suffer abuse because she's getting a little salary. The budget allocated to women program is not enough, especially that now that GBVF has been identified as a pandemic in our country. We need to improve on that one, that we budget more for programs. The challenges are still continuing. Reaching out to the communities has been hindered because of the pandemic of the COVID-19. We are not able to do door-to-doors, and so that we are able to identify those challenges in the community because of the COVID-19. Most women do not want to speak out because of fear that they will be punished, even killed by their partners, as we have alluded earlier on. Some women depend on their partners. Most of the women, it has been also in the presentation, in the other presentation, that most women are not working, and therefore they depend on their partners, and hence they become the victims in most of the time. Printing and distribution of information should be in all languages so that everyone is being covered. Next slide. We still have very remote areas, especially in our district, as our district is very vast, and also it's rural. Garsebande, it's a rural district, so it's very difficult to reach out to women in those areas. Rights and responsibilities of women are undermined, especially by some of the opposite gender, men and boys. Emphasis has always been on the empowering the girl child, and we left out the boys, who in most cases become perpetrators. Next slide. On interventions. We need to strengthen stakeholder relation through establishment of forums to mainstream issues affecting women, such as gender-based violence and femicide. Facilities such as shelters for abused women to accommodate women for the maximum period of 6 months around Gersebande District Municipality. As intervention, we need to increase preventative efforts that addresses unequal gender power relations, which are the root cause of GBVF. And also empower women on income generating projects in order for them to be self-reliant. Next item, next slide.
MMC Nhlapo, don't forget about time.
Yeah, yes, Chairperson. GRIP shelters which operate within sub-SIATs should be spread to all police stations around the country. To conducted awareness campaigns and community dialogue in collaboration with a stakeholder to avoid double dipping. Here we need to do this awareness, all of us, but not today. It's Department of Health. The next day it's a municipality, but we need to combine and do this awareness in collaboration. Women, young girls and communities are empowered on gender-based violence. The challenge of bentens and sugar daddies must be discussed openly in the society. Gersebande District Municipality, together with government department and civil society, organize and participate in marches on GBVF to send a message to the communities that GBVF is a violation of human rights. Women need to ensure that they are empowered, their skills developed so that they are able to stop being dependent on their partners. I think that one, it has been presented. And programs such as EPW, Siatendela, Siatutuga, and ward committees must provide different skills. E.g., ADA must do door-to-door an awareness campaign on GBVF. Next slide. On our recommendation, we want to ensure that women and elderly from the most of rural areas are prioritized and empowered. That printing and distribution of information to be in all languages and Braille material be provided. To intensify awareness campaigns, community dialogues, and sensitization for women on and their rights and responsibilities, including their role in the community. From a young age, we need to teach our boys and girls equally on the importance of being responsible members of the communities. At any given opportunity, our leaders should always emphasize on the role of women in our society. Women must be empowered and sensitized all the members of the community about abuse partners. Next slide. The recommendation continues. We need to identify champions from the community who will ensure that women issues are prioritized and encourage people in any form of abuse. People should report if they are mistreated while reporting cases of abuse at police stations. The spirit of Ubuntu should be encouraged and people should be aware of what happens next door, and child-headed families be identified and they must be assisted. Women will be with disabilities should not be sidelined but given the attention they deserve. Inequality, unemployment, and poverty should be eliminated at all costs. Next slide. In conclusion, Chairperson, all programs and plans will be implemented and ongoing based on the budget on an ongoing basis based on the budget. Addressing GBV is a complex issue that requires multi-faceted responses and commitment from all stakeholders, including government, civil society, and other organizations dealing with women issues in communities. We appreciate the fact that leaders in the national and provincial government have realized that women issues should be attended to and given the attention it deserves. Next slide. Oh, thank you very much. That was the last slide. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, MM Sinklapo. I'm going to Ilembe District Mayor, Councillor S.
Honorable Malika, I don't know, we got information that it seemed that Ilembe will not be available. But you can find out if they are not available. It's not actually a train smash because this was a session for Mpumalanga, but because we couldn't get hold of them in KZN, we tried to accommodate them here. So you can just find out whether they are there.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Chair. There is one who've got a presentation for Ilembe District. Seemingly, it's like no one, Deputy Chair. I think we must go for discussions.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think we can go for discussions. You can indicate and then continue.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Chair. I'm going for the discussions. I want those who are going to raise their hand. I'm just going to give each a minute. Please be specific, not to do your own presentation and tell us that what and what is not there, but we need you to give us the challenge and the way forward. How are we going to go forward with these issues that we are going to raise, and make the input and comment. I'm waiting for the hands, those who want to comment and make input and give challenges and the way forward. On the screen now, I've got Nomonde, Bongegile, Zaina Maja, Mapaseka Mlaba, Comrade B.
Yeah, manje ile nto lena seyangihlolela.
Boy, can you mute yourself? Participants, please, can you please mute until you have your opportunity to speak, is where you are going to unmute yourself.
Lana nayo le nto seyicimile ayisekho la.
Ukhona lana uyasdisturb. Nomonde.
Hi, leadership. Morning. Hi. My name is Nomonde Nkosi from Carolina, Ward 15 in Chief Albert Luthuli. I'm here to represent Womandla Community Development and Total Shutdown. So leadership, I've been in a meeting last week where we were discussing the charter. But for me, I was not aware of what the charter was all about because we were not sent the charter. So now going through the charter was that I feel as if the charter must come back to our grassroots where women will have input, because Tina, as people who are working with women at the ground, we know the issues. So I feel Uguti le charter in a space. In leadership, I'm so disappointed at you when you are saying, let's kulume 1 minute while we are having so many issues. And you allow other people to present, or is those people are the ones that you prefer? So can we be given our space, because Miss Niggas a 5 gig and the 5 gig is for us which is kulume whatever is kuluma about this charter. And going back to the charter, and the presenters, it all comes down to a Black woman. Even FFC mentioned ukuthi abantu abahlupheka kakhulu abantu abamnyama. And who is representing us, a parliament, are Black women. I've said it last week and I'm going to say it again. Ukuthi nina as our leaders, can you please fight for us? Can you please, if kunemithetho that are being amended, and you say as women, you say, no, we are not going to amend these laws before it reaches down to our communities. Now, state essay, it says most women are not working. What does it say to you, leadership? And the worst part is most of women angesibalekele lo ukuthi most yabafazi ukuze bangene emsebenzini kumele bavule amathanga ke mina I'm someone ozokhuluma nje kumele bavule amathanga, and sometimes nani leadership any corner to those structures nifuna ukuthi thina as women sinworship nina qala before nisinikeza ama opportunities, or kumele sibe ngathini more respectfully. We don't
Can we be respected on this platform? Can we really be respected? In Tsiki, can we be respected? Respect other women. No more they can continue.
Thank you, leadership. So, because there are so many things I wanted to ask, but because of time, I think this charter must come back and see review. And please, can you work with CPOs? Can you work with us so that we can get information right? And there are things I wanted to question state essay. How do they get Lama states? Because me, for one, and even in my community, there was no woman who was maybe interviewed. How do they get Lama states? I'm not saying are right, I'm not saying they are wrong, but how do they get them? Last thing is your leadership. I wish I can have is Name. But most important now, how do Black women access economy while we still have men who want us to beg them for opportunities? I'm from a mining community. You go there, hey, go and speak to so and so, comrade le ANC. I'm not gonna lie, leadership. That's why I'm calling myself a feminist. As konungena spaces, because those spaces are occupied by men at the ANC. Number two, if you are a woman, ufunuk trader with a mining company, it's not gonna be easy. If you are not from the ANC, and even women from the ANC are suffering spaces, can the charter also assist us? We speak of mining charter, a mining charter that allows us women to have businesses in mining companies. You approach a mining company, bakcheluguti the charter aiba grizeleli, ngatin aiba fosteleli uguti bayen. It's their choice if they want to support women or not. So leadership, I have so many things that I have written here I wanted to ask. But then lastly, Umama Lo was Gersibande, who was presenting about Gersibande. I wish that we can have tea naye as an organization that deals with gender-based violence and empowering women. If we are I think you can get my numbers so that we can work, because there's femicide, there's gender-based violence. The reason why we are staying in abusive relationships, it's because as women, we are not economically free. Thank you.
Thank you, Nomonde. I think Councillor Ntlapo, did you hear Nomonde requested your contact number? If you can send to a chat that she can raise some issues that she wants to raise with you for her Sebande.
Okay.
The next one.
It's noted.
Hello. Hello.
Bongegile?
Yes, Chair, am I audible?
Yes.
May I firstly apologize to the House. I cannot, I think I'm having network problems, so I cannot function well with my video on. Is that okay?
Yes, continue.
Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Bongegile Zwane. I'm from Carolina in Mpumalanga. I have a question for Gender Commission on the case that we're working on for at Mpumalanga. I would like to know more ukuthi kwenzakalani, because at this moment in time we are stuck, and there's a lot I can say about the case, but then I think those are the issues that can be strictly directed to Gender Commission. And then another thing, I think that when it comes to the charter, it is important that we look at how it actually protects women and how the government actually practice or rather implements the things written in the charter. Tina, as ground level activists, we have received the charter ibhalwe ngubani. And uma bayibhala bebacabangani ngathi as people on the ground. Because Chairperson, if I can emphasize on this, women are suffering on the ground. Even the stats shows that in Mpumalanga, most people who are suffering are Black women, economically, physically, emotionally, and also spiritually. Can we look at our rural areas, as in like we are experiencing traditional patriarchal practice, gender inequalities. We are expected to be in spaces, but at the very same spaces that we are expected to be in, we experience GBV at all corners of it and all elements of GBV, including economic abuse. I come from a community that has more than 5 mines, but the number of women that are employed in those mines is lower than the number of men. And the reasons that are given to us by mining companies, those are not reasons enough to suppress someone from not having a stable living. Just because of what is between our legs, we have to suffer from these mining companies. And another important thing, Chair, Umama was representing on behalf of Gersi Band. Coming from Chief Albert Lutulu, we are also part of the AIDS Council. And may I say that the AIDS Council does not report to us. We report to the AIDS Council. What we do, programs wait. And also, it's said that the municipality have programs for GBV. Me and my team, we were there, Chairperson, at the municipality, and we were told directly to our faces, they do not deal with programs at GBV. So I don't know, maybe it's us, or maybe it's because we are from a small, less developed community that we do not know of these programs that are reported here. It is very disappointing because most of the leadership that are reporting on this platform are women. And here we are discussing issues that are affecting women. And all of these programs that are discussed, that are said, they are implemented, Tina Aswabon or Enkangala, maybe on big cities or on more developed cities, I don't know. But can we also look at that, Chairperson, can we take a closer look at that? Because honestly, I put emphasis on what Comrade Nomonde has said. This is very serious. We cannot, leaders, you cannot come here and report on programs that us as ground root organization don't know of. I am very disappointed, and I wish that in reviewing the Women's Charter, we can take a closer look, even at us ourselves, and most importantly, at the leadership that are standing for us as women. because this budget really, I think, and we need clarity on that. We can't be sitting here and discussing our programs that are not taking place. It is wrong leadership. Another thing, I think it's important that as we address these issues of a women's charter, we also look at traditional toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity from the workplace, economically, broadly. Because even within our municipalities, where you leadership are representing us, women there are experiencing toxic masculinity. They are experiencing EGBV. And we are not discussing those matters. So I think it's important that we also, when they said there's a budget, let there be clarity on that budget. Because Carolina, Tina, we do not know of such. We are still struggling as we speak, Chairperson, on implementing some of the programs. And the municipality is here. We cannot get that help. I think there's a lot of things I can say, but thank you very much for the opportunity, Chairperson. I'm done.
Thank you. Next is Comrade Poppy, MMC. After Poppy is Marinki.
After Poppy, thank you very much, Chair. Greetings to the members in Bogota as Konangapagati. Chair, let me take this opportunity and welcome the presentation on the renewal of the charter. Indeed, Chairperson, we want to applaud the work that we are doing. But I wanted us to draw our attention on the implementation part of the gender-based violence and femicide, especially in our various local municipalities, because that's where the community will find them struggling in terms of resources. My proposal, or maybe something that I would like to be part of the charter, is that one, the charter must also involve the issue of compliance. The gender-based violence issue must be a compliance in all the municipalities so that we can able to budget for. Unfortunately, Chair, I'm from the rural municipality. I'm from Tembisilehani and Enkangala district in Mpumalanga, and they were trying very hard as a region, as a province, to make sure that as politicians, we assist the victims. But it is not enough because we need programs. And those programs, we can't find those programs. So the municipalities doesn't have a proper personnel to assist in terms of their gender-based violence. Let me put it there on our old simple language, where we used to call it a transversal, because it involves everything, issues that relates to women, youth, and children, and so forth. So my first proposal, as I've said, that let be the compliance and the performance target for the municipalities in terms of the implementation of this gender-based violence. And also, I want the charter to also talk about the committee of gender-based violence in all the districts, so that we can able to meet bi-monthly as women and discuss the way forward according to the charter as proposed, that some of the issues we can be able to deal with it, but some were unable due to the fact that we don't have a proper budget in the municipalities. And then another matter that I want to contribute that should form part of the renewal of the charter is that there should be a grant specifically for gender-based violence that must go through the municipalities, just like your infrastructure grant. Because when we talk in the council, we were told every time that the National Treasury only focus on the infrastructure grant, which are dealing with the capital project. They don't care about the issues of women. They don't care about the transversal in the municipalities. So I'm proposing that if that could form part of the charter, then we can able to take the charter and adopt the charter in the council for implementation. Chairperson, my last comment is that we've been in all the meetings or the forums of women that spoke about gender-based violence. We involve SAPs and everything. So I want us to take a resolution or to say that all the departments must have a gender-based violence desk, not just in paper, but a functional one that will be monitored by the same committee that I'm proposing, that it should be a committee in the district that will always sit and check the progress of women in all sectors. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Next is Maringi Kolegile. After is Karabo Mpila.
Ngiyanibulisa. Ngingumarinki Ntuli, Mrs. Masemula ethembisile hani. Mina ngirepresenta amafelokazi ama-widow. Ngimzwile umama Mrs. Ntuli Xobatla akhuluma ngendaba yama-widow. Into engicaphelileko ukuthi ama-widow akunamuntu onandaba nawo ama-widow. I'm trying my best ngivele ukuthi I can help them. Even ngiyazi ukuthi i-government yethu ayikhona ukufinyelela phasi la kukhona thina, but masisukumako sibona ukuthi kunama-program esingawenza thina sikhona ukubancedisa. Akubi nomuntu onandaba. Ngithanda nje ukuthokoza u-MMC wethu wasethembisile uP Msiza, ngoba ngesinye isikhathi sigcina siba iburden yakhe nomam Beauty, ngigcina ngiba iburden yabo. Ngifuna ukuthi bakhiphe from their pockets. Why ukuthi akuna budget yabafelokazi? Ngicela ukuthi at least department isibhekelele abafelokazi. Kunalesiko leli elikhona ebantwini abamnyama lokuthi umuntu makangumfelokazi unemali ayiphetheko. Kunalabafelokazi abafelwa amadoda athola ukuthi abayeni babo at all bebangasebenzi, then bese umuntu uyamangala ukuthi enzeni. But masifuna usizo kibo, ungathola ukuthi kulabo bafelokazi labo endlini umuntu bayi-4 but benganamuntu osebenzako. Ngicela ukuthi siyekele into yokuthatha abafelokazi ukuthi mababhujele madoda kunemali bayiphetheko. Kunala madoda angabereki njengoba sibonile istat sethu sithi abantu abaningi la eMpumalanga abasebenzi. Ngicela ukuthi at least abasirecognize thina abafelokazi. Ngiyathokoza.
Thank you. Next is Karabo Mpila. Karabo?
She must unmute. Let her unmute.
Unmute yourself. Let me go to Sonto Pidisa. We'll come back to Karabo.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Greetings to everyone, all protocol observed. Firstly, I would like to thank the Enkangala district presentation. For me, my concern is that sometimes we got good programs and like this charter as we are going to review, the implementation part of it, it's where it becomes a challenge. And can I raise this, that it's a concern? We've been to community for a long time as women, especially on NGOs and CBOs, but to our municipalities, they cannot like proudly say that we have mentored this organization. We took it from here. Today is our champion as an organization, because the same challenge. We had the president has already launched the GPV, and people pledged for the GPV, but we will only see it in like we have already had the president see it in Facebook, but in the true sense, when the beneficiaries should be us, organizations that are led by women, organizations that have been to the community and the residing municipalities for years, developing, dealing with health issues, helping whoever, the government, the municipality. But when it's time to benefit, I mean, we are not looked at. Instead, you'll find new somebody that is implementing. And can I raise this concern again? When money comes, I don't know, the government trusts men to give them money more than women. Like women can handle this, and women can do better, and women can create jobs. I think it's where the problem is. There are good programs, there are good implementations, but when it comes to benefits and resources, especially from us, that we started a community-based organization, volunteering with everything that we have, saved families' lives. But when it comes to where we need to look into, lapho asiveli, wonke umuntu lapho sewuyacabanga kuzovela omunye singamazi. That person will be given resources, that person will be given money. Can maybe local government this time, as kuthiwa a woman desk, kube na that person specifically looking for that woman desk? And again, can it be just for a change, have one community-based organization, whether it's an NGO, just to pilot ngai and be champion ngai, so that next time, you know, as a municipality, that there we have left a legacy. Most of the time, land are given to most of white people. They are accessing our land. They've got our offices at descent. It's where money just goes to them. But as we are still struggling, we will struggle. We have more than 20 years being in community-based organization. But until today, there's nothing that we can say, Yazu Maspala wam, mina wangenzela lo. No. So I suggest that with this, can more resources be put in civil society? Can more resources be put in NPOs and CBOs? Thanks very much.
Thank you. Next is Councillor Tembis Kosana. Councillor Tembis Kosana, can you unmute yourself? Okay, she's not there. Let me go to, there is a gadget written Galaxy A30s. I don't know who's that.
Sorry, Chair.
Oh,
I'm
you
here.
there? Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks. Greeting to the House, all protocol observed. Welcoming all the presentation. Chair, Gangan Sebang Kavarile. Since well, my name is appearing there, I'm Councillor Tembis Kosana from Tembisil. We welcome the charter on the reviewal of it. Chair, to submit one thing or few because of Kwezinye Sebang Kavaril. Implementation of our law in courts. Kuthathi isikhathi ukuthi ku-implement some of the things, even if the evidence is there. Where's gender-based violence? It's a husband, obulele umama kwakhe. Evidence is there, but ukuthi kuthathwe the final decision, izokuba ibe nama-postponement, kube nazo zonke lezinto, and they know ukuthi we don't have enough resources to go there and say we don't want bail, do the marches. We don't have enough resources to do those things. Can the department, all the departments, to support MMC Popim Caesar, all the departments to fictionalize the gender-based violence in all odds? Again, can we be given the budget in the transversal offices, in particular those rural municipalities? Because a lot of women cannot be assisted if there's no budget. We cannot even discuss a little things that can move from point A to point B. Again, can we look at the age? The age is going to become the problem for us because currently the opportunity are given to young people. What about those 36, 39, 40-year-old women who are going to get job or being funded or something else? Can we check the age? Meanwhile, we are discussing each and everything. Let us consider this age thing because it's going to cut all of the women outside. Currently, you'll find yourself having the qualification, went to tertiary or having that business, and you have everything. But because of the age, you cannot access anything. You'll remain poor, you'll remain less developed because of the age. Can we look at the age? Because these days seems as if the age is going to be the big obstacle for us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I don't know, the one for Galaxy A30s, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, can you introduce yourself because it's just written Galaxy A30.
Okay, thanks. My name is Tutune from Enkangala region at Emalahleni. I'm representing GBV FW. In labantu engibarepresentayo kunabo mama babafelokazi, kunabo baba babafelokazi, kunabo baba aba-abuse abomama. Kunabantu aba-abuse amadoda nama-boyfriend. So attenda kunomntwana okuthiwa uKarabo washiswa i-boyfriend 2 years ago. I-case yalo mntwana iphelele emoyeni. I-government yethu ayis-assisting annex ezintweni ezifana nalezo. Abantu abaningi siyabasiza, but uma siya ku-government wethu sivela basitshela ukuthi they only help ama-NPOs, like sebashilo bukhansela ukuthi they need to create funds for ama-NPOs and nabantu abadila ngama-GBV because it's been years sisebenzisana nomphakathi ngokusiza abantu. Siyalidinga usizo and siyadinga uku-assistwa because if you are not known enough, ungaziwa kwi-government, especially kuma-politicians, awuthathwa serious. And lento leyo ukuthi uma ungumama, uma kumele uthole izinto, kumele ujike ecansini, ujike embhedeni, iyas-abuse, iyasihlukumeza kakhulu thina singabomama. Because baningi kakhulu abantwana abadinga usizo but abakhona ukuthola usizo. Kunabantwana abesibhizi ngecase yabo leviki eliphelile, bafunda kulezi zikolo ze-Crane. Ama-lecturer walapha kulesa sikolo, they don't allow those kids to go to classes because babafuna babavakashele ema-flatini wabo. If awufikanga eflatini, then which means bazokufailisa. And besicela kakhulu ukuthi ugovernment wethu akasibhekelele because siyahlukumezeka singabomama, abantwana bethu bayahlukumezeka. Abanye bayasaba nokuvoice out bakhulume because if mase ukhuluma bazokutshela ukuthi uzimikisile or wenzeni. Ama-politician wethu amadoda siyacela kakhulu ukuthi nisisize because siyayibona i-women's charter ikhona, but ayisize kakhulu ukuthi when it comes to ezintweni ezifana nalezi abakeli kuhlukumeza ngokwecansi. Imisebenzi ayitholakali bashilo. Ukhulumile uNomondo wathi mawumama makumele uyothola umsebenzi especially ku-mining ku-business, if ungaziwa or if unganamali vele angeke bakunake. Sicela ukuthi baconsider nale mndeni engathi iyahlukumezeka, especially laba the poor of the poorest. Kunabantu abahlupheka reg, but abakhoni ukubasiza because no muntu uthi uphuma ekhaya elihluphekayo. I-case yakhe izawu-attendwa, bam-attende kayi-1, kayi-2, kayi-3, then angeke baphinde bayinake i-case yakhe ngoba akaziwa lowo muntu loyo akanamali. So besicela kakhulu njengathi thina bama-NPOs esisebenza nge-gender based violence nabafelokazi ukuthi abafelokazi ngicela nibathathe into considerations. Umasipala makayekele ukubhadalisa abafelokazi imali enkulu because bacomplainile kakhulu because ama-rates wabo we-rent, they are too high. They can't even afford it. They need help. Ababanake babasize. Nalabantwana laba abanganabazali abahlala kulama-shelters la sibabiza ngokuthi ama-shelter wabantwana. Ke niwahambele lama-shelter because abanye abantwana bayahlukumezeka kulawo ma-shelter. Umntwana uyathathwa amiswe kuleyo shelter because the owner of the shelter ubenefita ngalabantwana. So kakhulukazi siyacela ukuthi nisisize. Nabo baba laba abahlukumezwayo bayasaba ukuvoice out because thina singabomama nathi siyawahlukumeza amadoda, siyabahlukumeza bobaba. In a way yokuthi makayovula i-case uyofika e-police station bamhleke because uyindoda uhlukumezwa umama. Abanye sebayasaba ukukhuluma mayelana nokuhlukumezeka kwabo because uyindoda and angakhuluma let's say une-protection order, bamvulele i-protection order. Akasakhona ukuthi azisize azisebenzele akhulume ukuthi umama ungihlukumeza kuphi. Kuke kwaba khona isimo la ubaba ohlala eMiddelburg waba nale nkinga leyo ukuthi umkakhe umvulele i-protection order and umkakhe uza namadoda endlini. In a way yokuthi indaba yakhona bolena Hlathi, they know about it. He was the one owangihlanganisa nalabo bantu ukuthi please attend to this matter. Now uthi uyayi-attend matter yakhona kusasa kuyothiwa ubaba wrong because ithempa umuntu oyindoda naye uyayiluza. Akusuke ukuthi kungamadoda kuphela abulala bomama, nabomama siyababulala bobaba. ngezindlela eziningi. Ukuhlukumezeka kumuntu akusuki ukuthi umuntu kumele azashaywe or umuntu kumele azabulawe size sibone ukuthi lo muntu uhlukumezekile. Physically, mentally, emotionally umuntu uyahlukumezeka. Ngicela ukuthi nis-attende, nisinake, niwanake ama-NPOs, nisinike nezindawo, nisinike nama-funds sizokhona ukuthi sisize abantu abangakhoni ukusizeka. Kune case yomntwana wase-Ebrate, warejwa lo mntwana ahayika asuke eHenrina ahayika aye ekhaya kibo. Icase yalo mfana iphelele emoyeni. Le ntombazana yathathwa yamikiswa esigangeni ehlathini la bayomrebhela khona kule ndlu leyo, indlu endala engathi isidaleni, indlu engasahlali manje. Wamrebha lo mfana, bekunamagazi, nakasho umntwana ubone ukuthi uyabarebha uyababulala. Wazama umntwana ukuthi abaleke, wasizwa umkhulu omunye wambeka endleleni. Walivula icase, bali-attend icase, but icase lakhona kwathiwa ayikho lento leyo. Siyenza kanjani indaba yokuthi umuntu nakunobufakazi obuphelele ukuthi umuntu uhlukumezile nomuntu wenze ukuthi agwetshwe athole isigwebo esimfanele. Mina ngombono wami ukuthi kungcono ukuthi kubuye isigwebo sentambo, ngoba if singekho leso sigwebo bazochubeka basihlukumeze. Abantwana bethu bayahlukumezeka, abantwana bayarejwa la ngaphandle. Umntwana afika endlini, nathi abazali asikwazi ukuthi sitreat kahle abantwana bethu. Asabe ukukutshela ungumama because you are harsh ebantwaneni. We don't have relationship nabantwana bethu. Kumele sibe ne-relationship, sithi noma sifuna usizo kule government yethu sazi ukuthi kwathina abantwana bethu, we give them that support. Umntwana noma aze ekhaya kumele umazi ukuthi umntwana makaphumanga asoke ekuseni akhona ukuthi noma uzokhuluma naye akutshele izinto. Kunabantwana abanabantwana namhlanje abanabo baba, only to find out nokuthi uyachecka umntwana udlenguliwe, wasaba ukukhuluma ekhaya, wabuzwa ukuthi umntwana uvelaphi, azokutshela ukuthi baba umntwana ungilahlile wasePitori or wakuphi or ubani bani wakuphi, only to find out it's a lead wrong because urejiwe uyasaba and uthreatenishiwe nala radio khona wakhuluma ngizokubulala. Please assist us government. Ebengifuna ukukusho nje mina yiloko ukuthi sicela usizo kakhulu, nisinake, nasiza kini sivele. Kunendawo eWitbank eMalahleni ibizwa ngokuthi it's a dumping site. Akusindawo yokuhlala abantu le. Government wethu akasisize. Ngike ngahamba ngayoyiripota kumphakathi because ngizamile ukuyiripota kamasipala, ngizamile ukuyiripota ku-housing kwabantu abaphethe, but akekho umuntu oke wayithatha serious. Kunabo mama la. Imikhukhu yabo yakhiwe ngamaplastiki. Akekho a human being ongahlala endaweni enjengale. Bekunezimvula ezinzima lamalanga. Omunye wabomama warejwa khona lapho kuleyo ndawo, wangenelwa, ahlukunyezwa abantu abahlala khona lapho nezigebengu because le ndawo le ihlala abantu ababalekela ama-cases wabo. Umuntu ongana identity ayohlala kuleya ndawo uzomrebha uzobaleka. Ugovernment wethu akenzi next ngalokho. They know very well ukuthi there are cases avelile ukuthi they need to take care of laba abantu abalapha, ba-check. If umuntu angana ID, they must make sure ukuthi izindawo ezinjengalezi bayazisusa azibi khona because abantu abaningi bafela kulezi ndawo, abantu abaningi bahlukumezeka kulezi ndawo. Kumanje makumele abomama laba abahlala lapha abala eSouth Africa abanganamali ngisho yokuyenzisa izinto zabo. There's a woman igama lakhe nguzodwa. Lo mama lona wavela kumphakathi ngihamba naye achaza i-issue yakhe ukuthi bamshisela umkhukhu khona lapha, bamrepile, kwasha ID, kwasha everything, akasebenzi, akakhona ukuthi angayenzisa i-ID. Wathi uthi uyobhalisa indlu kamasipalati, bamtshela ukuthi bona bavalile, akanandlu, uyandinda, uhlala lapha kuleya ndawo engasi-right edampini, akunamanzi, akunama-toilet, yindawo la kulahlelwa khona idodi ephuma khona la emadolobheni wethu, kudijwa lapho. Impilo ne-health yabantu siku-pandemic. I-COVID ayifuni idodi, i-COVID ifuna la kuclean khona, ifuna abantu abagezayo. Siyophila kanjani, iyophela kanjani lesifo if mangabe ugovernment wethu akanakelela izinto ezifana nalezo. Ngiphinde futhi ngikhulume ukuthi ugovernment wethu akangenelele lezi mayini ezikhona ezigcwele la eMalahleni. Siyahlukumezeka, ziyavulwa izimayini eMalahleni, siyagula. Abantu baseMpumalanga baseMalahleni aba-benefit kulezi zimayini, especially abomama. They don't benefit lapha. La ungumama nakumele ubenefita lapha, muthi wehlisa iphenti, muthi uzwane nozibani bani ukuze wena bakuconsidere lapha. If ungazwani nalowo muntu loyo or if bangak-understand ungekho kule league yabo, then wena angeke uthole next. Instead uzothunyelwa ngabantu, uzogijinyiswa, uyophila njengesilwane. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you. Next, Nokuthula Mtau. After Nokuthula is Poise. Can you please be brief to the point? Speakers. Nokuthula Mtau, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you for recognizing me, Chairperson. Mostly I have been, I don't know if, can you hear me?
Yes, continue.
Oh, okay, thanks. Mostly I have been covered. Okay, I'm Noktula Mutau from Victor Kanye Municipality, founder of She Unit Civil Organization based in Victor Kanye. I've been covered in most of the things that I wanted to address, but then the critical part is the lack of medical facilities. Women fail to access the medical facilities in an instance whereby you assisting umntwana oqeda ukurejwa. Can you imagine ukuthi you will wait for 5 hours in a public hospital waiting for a doctor to attend to that person? It's emotionally draining, and then also access to our police stations where these people are failing us, and we should go to ama can start adding more policemen to assist in such cases, because it cannot be right, it cannot be correct to go to umuntu ayohlala for more than 5 hours at police station just to open a case rape. And then also the aspects of legal representation also. It's another cause, sense of which most of the cases, rapes, GBV cases, if I may say, are failed because people lack legal advices. So sufficient legal representation for our victims with GBV. And then also the procurement policy, I think we also need to review that, because now you will get to abantu in procurement policy, in women empowerment, you'll get to abantu around our minds, they are using their wives or girlfriends name bafantangazo to have business opportunities, where people that actually need those opportunities are figure. So I think that the charter also needs to be reviewed in a manner which all these things will be addressed in a way which implement, because most of the things that were represented isn't as corner in writing only, but implementation of all those are not there at all. And then with the stats also, I wanted to check how accurate the stat is, because now it's in 2021, but then the stat it was from 2016, so it cannot be correct also that si representola is stats 2016 in 2021. How accurate the stat is? Since it is cutting a call, just I'm fine, I'm sorted. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Boise.
Don't forget Karabo.
Sanbona. Hello?
Yes, continue.
Okay, ma'am. Sanbona nonke. I'm Boise Mkwanazi from Gersibande Disability Forum. Ngibonga kakhulu ukuthola lethuba leli engilithola manje. Ngiwabonile ama presentations bengilalele, but into engithi ngiyayibuka kulama presentation ukuthi our government uya-implementa very good, uya-implementa a-implemente futhi ayedwa, awubhale lo mthetho ubhala ayedwa, awuthathe-ke umthetho-ke bese sowuletha kithi ukuthi singawu-review, sewumthetho sophasisiwe-ke lo ukuthi sizawusebenzela phezu kwawo. Ake ngithi-ke women for people with disabilities kulama presentations ngiyezwa kuthiwa women, but our research isinikeze ukuthi ku-27 years ku-democracy, people with women for people with disabilities azange nangelinye ilanga sithole ukuthi bayiphathi yawo wonke lama program eniyeni nawa-raiser. It's because people with disabilities banama structures akhona, njengoba ngisho ukuthi mina Gersibande Disability Forum kunama forums kubo municipality, kunama structures kumazonali local khona emphakathini, but angikhumbuli nangelinye ilanga kuthiwa besicela ukuthi sizoxoxisana nawo lama structures noma nama forum ekutheni ukuthi mawahlangane ekutheni ukuthi bazosinikeza izinto or akuze abomama basinikeze ama input athize. Kugcinwa ngokuthi kuyiwe laphayana kule disability parliament ebanjalo once a year ngoNovember. Nayo esinikeza iproblem masifika laphayana sesithola izinto sebazenzile, not ukuthi babuze thina ukuthi babuze abomama ngoba manje it's party yabomama le. Babuze abomama ukuthi mama nina enikhubazekile yimaphi ama challenges eniba nawo in your municipality la envela khona noma kuma province wenu noma kuma districts wenu. Angaze ke ngikuzwe lokho, just sinikezwa izinto ku end up nina senreporta ukuthi people with disabilities abekho active, people with disabilities azange sibathole, people with disabilities abafuna ukuparticipate. Akukho ke lokho. Engizama ke ukukuraise nokukhuza nokujabula futhi ekuzokwenzeka eSouth Africa for people with disabilities. It's because babonile abantu abakhubazekile ukuthi kule 27 years awazange bakhone ukulibamba ichaza eSouth Africa ekutheni ukuthi nabo babe ngabantu. Njalo thina ke singama structures njoba ngishilo ngithi forum yithi esilandela ngemuva esilandelela ugovernment ngenkani ukuthi makenzele women people with women for people with disabilities izinto ezithize njoba ngihleli nawe lana kunama cases amaningi esiye sawasolva ekutheni ukuthi silandelela ugovernment ukuthi man sesiyayibona lento ku 27 years ukuthi abazange babe yiphathi bahlupheka kakhulu abantu abakhubazekile. Ngifuna nje ukukusho ukuthi ugovernment ufailile. I'm very happy ke mangithola ukuthi people with disabilities now ngingaxolisa ukufaka lokho but kumele nikwazi ukuthi people with disabilities sebakhathela. I'm very happy ke ukuthi ke people with disabilities now ba registered ku IEC sebafuna ukuthola ama seat kuma local government, district government and provincial and national. I'm very happy. It's because ivoice yabo ibingekho all along bebakhulunyelwa. I'm very happy ngijabule kakhulu ukuthi baba approvile sebaya parliament sebazokwazi ukuzimela ekutheni ukuthi ba raise ama issues wabo ngoba Nkosi yami bahlukumeze. Ngiyabona ama presentation, ngiyabonga kakhulu niyawaveza mahla smart, but mangathi ngiyabuza manje ukuthi ke nizoba recognize njani people with women abakhubazekile ekutheni ukuthi kule mithetho esenibhali nizobathola njani futhi ukuze bangene kulama system eniye nawa presenter manje. Ngiyabonga. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next I will put Karabo. Can you come in?
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Thank you for recognizing me. Ukarabo Mpela from Stiftwete Local Municipality. I'm just going to raise some few points here regarding gender responsive procurement. As a young woman in business, I'm still feeling so much oppressed, even in a democratic country like South Africa, in terms of participating as a young woman in business is still an issue for me. I'm still oppressed even by our very same leadership who we have put Pambili Utibas represented in fear of us, especially women. There's a huge gap in us being empowered in business. Namhlanje, as a young woman, a Black young woman in business, I still need Uguti before I can get an opportunity in tendering or any economic participation. I need to know a particular man or a particular person in order for me to be recognized in business opportunities in terms of procurement spaces. And it's really an issue that our government need to address, because it's actually affecting a whole lot of us women, because abantu abasha babafazi, they end up being oppressed, and this is a problem to us because women, we are the economic contributors, but if Tina Namhlanje, we are still oppressed or abused in the sense that we cannot even participate in our economy, it's a problem. And GBV, it goes back to ama issues afana nalawo ukuthi as a woman, when you want to be in business or participate in an economy or in the supply chain, you need to go and sleep with a man. That on its own is GBV. And GBV, our government is only looking at it in physical way, but emotionally, psychologically, it's affecting Gakulu more than physical. So I think a women's charter need to really do a proper review or go back and implement most of the things they're doing it, because really we are young, we want to participate, and yet we are still feeling oppressed in a very democratic country like South Africa. So that's what I wanted to actually say. Thank you so much, Chairperson, for recognizing me.
Thank you, Karabo. Next is Rev Mvula Kamnesi. Can you come in? Reverend Mvula, can you unmute yourself? Oh, can you come in? We can't hear you. Rev Mvula Kamnisi, I can't hear you. I don't know whether the others, they can hear you. Rev Mvula Kamnisi, I can see you muted, but I can't hear you. Let me continue to, Deputy Chair, can you hear?
No, we cannot hear. Is he unmuted?
Yes.
No, I don't know whether the host officials can hear him. Maybe we can continue and come back to you.
Okay, let's go to Sinamaja.
Morning, ma'am. My name is Sinamaja, Dr. Jess Mroka, Enkangala region. And let me first appreciate the program and welcome all the presenters. And let me say I'm happy today because when I opened and joined the program, there was a report that says inyanga iswere kumhlanga COVID bank abulaile an albino person, and I'm happy today because people were been abusing albinos and no one was taken to court. And this neboncha or batho ba di albinos in totality. But now I just want to go to, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. I just want to go to the issue of gender budgeting, where I've seen a gap that says even if Monagonyea democracy, there is still a gap of salaries, a gap of men using money, women are struggling to hovia the and I just want to make a proposal that when we review this charter, we must make sure that we strengthen the issue of 50-50 in terms of payments of women and men, because the stats have shown that women are doing good work at home more than men. And in terms of issues of rape, I want this charter to review issue of investigation of rape.
I think it's your network. We can't hear you now.
When a case was reported, or the times
Let me continue. I think it's the network challenge with Marisina. Can Finky come in? We'll go back to her as soon as the network is stable. Finky, can you come in?
Okay. Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Ke a leboga motshwara marapo. Ke leboga nako o mfileng yona. Ntho e kgolo e ke batlang go e gatella thata. Ke Finky from Tembisile. Finky Ngobeni from Tembisile Hani Municipality. Dilo tse ntšhi a ke tlo bolela tse ntšhi because tse ntšhi ba setse ba di boletse. I'm concerned fela ka middle ages. Batho ba ba safarang women between 35 and 60 years. Ke yone ke leng concern le yona because ba emotionally abuse and ke bona ba ile gore ba tshwere malapa thata. And then ba unemployment, but the job advertisement always o kry-ile 18 to 35. The learnership ke 18 to 35. So what about 35 upwards? Bona ba tshwanna go bereka na. So ke kgopela the whole department, the whole government, please re kgopela gore age ha e stop go stating. Le bona and ke bona ba ile gore ba na le experience ebile ba more educated than batho ba bantši, and ke bona ba ile gore ba more physically abused and more emotionally abused. Ba tshwere malapa. Ba bang ke ba ke di single parents. Ga ba kgone go fa dijo ka mo ntlong. But if o nyaka mmereko ba botsa gore o setse o na le 45 years re ka se kgone go hira tsa mo ira mmereko o ira bja mmereko ka mo ntlong o sena bupi. So ke kgopela gore government e considere tsotlhe tse, especially mo aging, e stope le stope ka mo go stopiwe go bolediwa ka age. So gore o mongwe le o mongwe a kry opportunity ya hae gore le ena a ka kgone go bereka. Ke a leboga motshwara marapo.
Okay, thank you. The next speaker is Dimage GBV Desk. Over to you. Can you, yes.
Revolutionary greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you very much, Chairperson. My name is Fighter Dimakato Patlamoraswi, the EFF Enkangala Region Coordinator of Gender-Based Violence. Ours is very simple in the EFF. We just want the charter to amend the following. A specialized gender-based violence unit on a national, provincial, district, and branch-based system must be established and have interlinked system with the sex crime courts in South Africa. Corrective rapes and sentences must be increased as they bear the peculiarity to also constitute as hate crime beyond sex crime. Rape against children should be correctly defined as trialed as attempted murder as well. On this point, imagine raping a 2-month-old baby. What do we call that? It's actually an attempted murder. The last one, it is part and parcel of training for the police should be inclusive of extensive gender mainstreaming on issues concerning gender-based violence and related crimes. The training should be ongoing and consistent. We lead with that one. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Betty. Can you mute yourself? Next speaker is Tsako Mkabela. Over to you, Tsako.
Thank you, Chair, for noting me, and greetings to your good self and all participants. As you have introduced me, my name is Tsako Mkabela. In the best interest of time, Chair, allow me to submit the following to form part of the review. Chairperson, I feel like the judiciary and police services should prioritize undergoing mandatory sensitive training so as to understand how to deal with victims of gender-based violence. The second and last one that I want to submit, Chairperson, is that the gender should address all the challenges faced by women with special needs and not only address them under social services, as in the case of the current charter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. My last speaker is Councillor Mlaba. Over to you.
Ngibonga kakhulu, Chairperson of the session. My name is Comrade Mapaseka Mlaba from the ANC Women's League in Hartsibande. I will be very brief and very short, Chairperson. Firstly, let me welcome my presentation done by the different speakers. Mina ogwami, Chairperson, ogokuqala, I just want to say what is the gender-based violence. We need to understand firstly what is the gender-based violence. Igender iqala ekhaya bese iyaphuma nayiphuma ekhaya iya emphakathini, because once gender-based violence yaqala kumama nobaba nasebantwaneni, abantwana they will go outside in engayabo benze izinto ezirong. But Chairperson, mine it's very short. The only thing that I want to raise ukuthi we want safety for place safety yama albin, as other speakers have indicated, because we also have the very same case elikwa esidila ngayo engicabanga ukuthi our government is doing very well ukuthi ama sector department your DSD your justice and amaphoyisa bayahlanganyela ukuprotecta lo yamntwana, as one of our speakers have indicated kwenye case yasemalahleni or eMpumalanga. Secondly, Chair, issue yama sign language is very important kuma sector department, even nakuma police station, because some of the victims uthola ukuthi vele akakwazi ukukhuluma, omunye akaboni. Fanele senze sure ukuthi even issue yama sign language nalaba abangakhona ukubona, omunye uyezwa but akakhona ukubona, omunye uyabona kodwa akakhona ukukhuluma, fanele siba assist for way forward. Chairperson, as the ANC Women's League sizoqela ukuthi aku speed up issue ye gender-based violence. Lama Thuthuzela Center in our hospital are very important with all the municipalities in Mpumalanga. Kuwo wonke ama hospital in Mpumalanga, we must make sure ukuthi siyenza lama victim, I mean lama Thuthuzela Center abe available for ama victim. Kuwo lama GPV center wama Thuthuzela centers, we need ama specialist doctor azohlala 24 hours esibhedlela for ama victim. We need ama specialists, I mean social workers. We also need ama specialist police azodila only kulama Thuthuzela Center, azohlala ebhedlela to make sure ukuthi the victim nayifika esibhedlela bakhona ukuyikhansela, because now one of the speakers here have indicated ukuthi mhlambe urajiwe or kwenzakale anything ufika esibhedlela, they will take time ukuthi mhlambe bagqwalisile lama J88 forms and nabaqeda lapho mhlambe i-counseling e-correct awusakhona ukuyithola. So as the ANC Women's League in Hartsibande in Mpumalanga, we siya requesta ukuthi kule gender commission mhlambe abayi-speed uphise le process le yokufoma lama-Thuthuzela Center. Lastly, Chairperson, we are also indicating ukuthi as the ANC Women's League, we are requesting ukuthi kunale what lama command center akhulunywa ngokuthi bawabiza khuseleka centers. And let's make sure ukuthi all the municipalities banawo lama khuseleka center, because lama khuseleka center is going to assist our victim, because some of our victim uthola ukuthi nakaphuma akasana ndawo yokuthi uhlala kuphi. But once saba nalama khuseleka command centers, because I know lama khuseleka centers ana everything inside. Sizoqala ukuthi process yakhona we know ukuthi iku pipeline, but abas assist kakhulu ukuthi lama process enziwe. Lastly, Chairperson, mhlambe just to give information, some of our colleagues aba indicated, especially kunomama okhulume ngama dumping site, ukuthi is usually kuma dumping site uthola kunabantu abahlala khona. Unfortunately, mina I'm one of those MMC odila directly nge-community services and safety. We went to kuma dumping site ethu, labantu noma sithi siyabasusa sibanikeza amakhaya, sibabhalisa for ama-RDP. Abanye babo, they don't want to go there. Instead, baba ne-anger, ukuthi why, yini ekufanele ukuthi siyenze ngabo, we really don't know. Not to say ukuthi government yet is not doing anything. I-government yet, municipality, I don't know kwabanye bomasipala, but I'm definitely sure i-Department of DSS, SD, iyadila ngabo njoba sikule lockdown. Even nalabantwana abahlala kuma-egradini, i-department yaka DSD edila ngama-social worker and others bayahlangana labantwana babafunele lama-center ukuthi bababeke kuphi. But what they've done labantwana bayaphuma laphayana, because bafuna ukuyobhema labonyawupe nabantontoni abakhona ukuthi bahlale kulama-centers. But now ngathula check, i-government yet have done a lot for abomama. Mina will request ukuthi some of the speakers indicated ukuthi vele abobaba sometimes nakumele uye emsebenzini nakufanele uthole umsebenzi bafune uye eqansini. We must say it no as a women. It's us, it's our right. Singabovumela abantu besilisa nabasiyuza bathi before uzothola umsebenzi fanele uye eqansini. I would rather die kunokuthi fanele ngiye eqansini nomuntu engamfuni. Go to the police station and open the case. If nangabe uyabona ukuthi i-case yakho abayithathi serious, hamba kwamanye ama-structures kuya phezulu up until mhlawumbe you can even go to parliament. Raise your voice, but don't ukuthi uvumele ukuthi umuntu athi because of ngifuna ukudla ngizowenza into wrong. Lastly, Chairperson, nale issue yama rent to rent, ngizwe umama akhuluma ngabantu mhlawumbe ama-widows, uthola ukuthi ama-rent abo ayakhuphuka abakhona uku-assisteka. In our different municipalities sinama-IGG form whereby umuntu if nakahola the certain amount umuntu akakhona ukubhadala i-rent, uyaya ugqwalise lelo form, then ngenyanga noma ngabe ukhipha 100 rand noma ngabe ukhipha 200 rand, it's up to you. Bese kuba nale policy ekhuluma nge-rent to rent, that is a campaign ekhona kubomasipala abaningi ukuthi if you are owing u-50,000 and kulo 50,000 uyasebenza ukhona ukubhadala, kunale form oligqwalisayo le-rent to rent ukuthi u-government umasipala uzoqishela u-50 lo 25,000 when I will carry on with 25,000 ubhadala, but ube ne-agreement, but only kubantu abasebenza abangasebenzi ikhona lento ebizwa ngama-IGG form kubo bonke abomasipala. So I'm bringing this information ukuthi mhlambe my colleagues or abomama bakhona abangazi abahambe baye kubomasipala babo bayofuna that information. Le issue yokuthi kunosisi mhlambe okhulumile ukuthi okhulume, or I don't know ukuthi okhulume ngama-disability. You see, sometimes, let's be honest, ama-disability, I'm one of those who dealing ama-disability all the time. Mhlambe kwenzeke ukuthi ubaba Maisela from Hartsibane, we are running a lot of ama program or disability. Nabangana even ama wheelchair. We are communicating with the Hartsibane district municipality. It's assisting us a lot. That's that we benite si compile lama report, si compile lama program abegade akhona. Lawo ma program akhona on place. Ene siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi i-government yethu manje noma ngabe kuthiwa siku lockdown asikhona ukungena, but siyakhona ukuthi siyuse ama-gadget, mhlambe siyakhona ukuthi siyuse ama-Zoom. Wena othole that information ku-Zoom, ithathe uye nabo ebantwini. Let's open our groups, mhlambe kuma group WhatsApp sishare information correct. Let's give umphakathi wakithi information correct. Ngifuna ukusho ukuthi Chairperson, kuyenzeka ukuthi mhlambe senizovala ukuthi that's why kuthiwa sina 3 years of government. Kune 3 years of government, mhlambe akangathi umuntu nangakayiboni into yenzeka mhlambe eduze walahlala khona at there is nothing eyenzeka like is not true. Mina I would say if bekuthiwe silethe information yokuthi what is happening. Lastly mhlambe kule issue kunosisi obuza ukuthi ugovernment uhlale khona lakhe adrafte le women charter abuye abazonika le women charter yenziwe ubani is not true. Even before before lockdown, national parliament, other committees were all over in Mpumalanga, in Hartsibande, babiza imiphakathi emaholweni kuthiwa lethana ama input kukhishwa nakuma SMS ukuthi use your SMS nangabe mhlambe awukhona ukufinyelela. So we have this government yethu, mina ngifuna ukuyibonga ukuthi have done a lot, although sisasena ama challenges, vele ama challenges will always there. So ngifuna ukusho ukuthi keep it up. Siyabonga kakhulu umsebenzi omuhle eniwenzayo nokuthi nje nisibize abanye bethu abanye bangakakhoni ukuthi bafinyelele. Even manje igovernment yethu ikhonile ukuthi isisize. Igovernment abantu bebakhuluma ngokuthi akuna khambi le vaccine. I-vaccine iseyikhona abantu baya complain kanti yini igovernment yokumele ukuthi yenze. So that is why mina I want to say thank you so much and keep it up. uNkulunkulu anisize nibe nosuku lomnandi, ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Thank you. I think my last speaker will be Rev Mvulakamnisi. I think he's back. Can you come in? Minister Mvulakamnisi. Can you unmute yourself? I think you are still struggling. You are not, you are unmute. And participants, can you please not, because we did give all the opportunity to raise up the hands. Now, I thought Councillor Mapaseka Mlaba was the last speaker. Then I'm giving Mnisi. Where is she or he now? He's no longer there.
I think we only about half an hour left for the responses. So since I don't see Reverend there, let us now allow the
Sorry, Chair. Sorry, Chair. Sorry, Chair. Sorry, Chair.
Boise, you have spoken.
It's not
wrong what you are doing.
Sorry, Chair, can you say something?
Hello?
Boise, we did give you a chance to speak.
Yes,
but someone next.
Yes, actually, I want to introduce someone here.
Was having to connect, have a problem to connect.
Yes.
So I'm here now. It's Fortunate Matlang from the Disability Organization.
I think, can you please make a written submission for the issue that you want to submit? Because we don't have, the time has lapsed and we have been identifying that specific gadget, but it's not the issue. Can you please make a written submission and send it to Mzwandile? He will now put on the chat group his email address, and you can just submit it to him. Please make a written submission because time is not allowing us to go back now.
Okay, I didn't want to say much more. I just wanted to apologize because I was having a problem with my gadget, but it's fine. I will follow.
We still want your submission, so if you can do it.
And myself,
yeah, please. There it is. On the chat group, Mzwandile's email is actually showing now. Just get it and then send the written submission, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Chairperson, am I still on the floor?
At last.
Hello, Chairperson. I was disturbed by the network, but it's back now. Just briefly, I'm here to represent the men's sector in the province. As much as we acknowledge the good work that has been done by the Gender Equality Commission and also on the Women's Charter, specifically on their 12 principles. As a province, even nationally, we are also as men also finalizing our own men's charter. I think the Women's Charter will also help us, in addressing those issues that have been identified in the Women's Charter. Then now, what we are doing in the province and in all the districts in the province, including Khetsibande district, whereby we've got a good partnership with the Khetsibande district, Enkangala district, and also Ehlanzeni district in terms of the partnership with the men's sector. We are also implementing this year in the financial year 21 and 2022, the Street Champion project, whereby we intend to address the issue of GBV and femicide, gender-based violence and femicide, which is a bottom-up approach, which is preventative and also include the multi-sectoral stakeholders' involvement in addressing the issue of GBV and femicide from the household level, from the street up to the ward and also up to the sub-district level. In short, and also in closing, then now we are also implementing the project of Kalabusha project, family reintegration, whereby specifically it will be rolled out throughout the province, but we'll be starting here in Khetsibande district in MLO for the reintegration and also addressing issues that have been affecting the young girl and the young boys on the street of MLO, you know, in terms of the different programs that we're having. One of them will be the Adolescent Girl and Young Women Project, the social and behavior change project that we'll be implementing in order to make sure that we empower our kids. At the same time, we also integrate them back into the community. But in the nutshell, as the men's sector in the province, as we're hosting the secretariat of the whole province of men's sector through Son of Joy Foundation, we are saying that we are ready to partner, to work together with the Gender Commission in making sure that the issues affecting women and children are addressed. That with my submission, and I thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. I think Minister Mvula Kamnisi was the last speaker. Deputy Chairperson, don't know, may I hand over to you, or must I give the presenters maybe a few minutes if they want to respond to other issues?
Please do, then you can give me the after they have finalized.
Oh, thank you, Deputy Chair. Okay, I will start and check with the state of SA, that there is anything that you can respond to, just to be brief. Is Mr. Soli, are you still there?
Yes, ma'am. I think there were two questions regarding the surveys. Firstly, I just want to assure the members that the 3 points that we have, the data points that we have shared today, they are based on, the first two are based on census, which we know it's a bigger, large surveys. And then the second one is our community survey, which is also one of the biggest surveys. So we are talking about 1.3 million households that we have visited. So it is a big and large sample. And it's also help us to have a better sense of how districts are performing. I think the three data points are actually statistically valid. So I don't think the members, they have to worry about whether they are reliable or not. So I think we are fine with regarding to the surveys. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I check to the commissioner?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Yeah, there was a question around the case that was supposed to be taking place at Carolina, where the speaker indicated that that case is not taking place anymore. What I can report around this one on the side of the Commission for Gender Equality, we do have an alleged rape case where the perpetrator is Mr. Jele and Mr. Sibanyoni at Caroline, where the two have been accused of raping 2 minor children. It's safe to say the case will be appearing in court on the 3rd of March 2021, but we cannot say much on the case because the victims are minors, but it's an ongoing case. And then secondly, there was a question about a case at Emalahleni where a boyfriend has banned the partner. The case that we are monitoring as the Commission for Gender Equality, it's one of a boyfriend that has used acid to burn the girlfriend, and then subsequently the girlfriend was hospitalized at Rock Ferreira Hospital. This happened during the time of lockdown and it was all over social media. We are monitoring it. It's safe to say the perpetrator was arrested at Bush Park Ridge. Then the other case, that information that you can share as the Commission for Gender Equality, is that we monitor all cases that are reported. We monitor them on ACORD. And I did share the toll-free number earlier, but also in our website, we have a complaint form whereby things that are raised that are in line with our mandate as a Commission for Gender Equality, they can be reported. Then our responsible and hardworking legal experts in the 9 provinces, working closely with the national team, are always ready to follow up cases or matters that have to do with our mandate. Then one speaker talked about toxic masculinity as a barrier and as a serious challenge. In that one, I can simply say 2 things: that information is power, and also all the answers of the challenges we continue to have are covered in our legislations. What is important for us, all of us, implementers, beneficiaries, stakeholders, lawmakers, and everybody else, our main challenge, as I indicated in the presentation, is that of implementation. We have the Gender-Based Violence Act. We have the presidential 5-point action that were introduced by the president. We have the Domestic Violence Act number 116 of 1998, the Sexual Offences Act. We have a lot in our table to deal with these social ills. What continue to remain a challenge for us is the part about implementation. Then the other thing that I wanted to mention is about the Inyanga and the albino case, that I also need to report to this forum that yes, the Inyanga is deceased, but the National Director of Public Prosecution need to take a stand on the matter, on what needs to be done because the perpetrator is deceased. One speaker also mentioned that they are busy at national level and provinces dealing with issues of men's forums and so on. Let me also share on behalf of the Commission for Gender Equality that we have capable commissioners. We have Commissioner Rakolote, we have Commissioner Botha, who are very proactive on issues of men and boys. I know our chairperson, Commissioner Tamara Matebula, will gladly release any person that can assist in that regard, because she's also committed, just like all the other commissioners, are proactive and committed on issues of men, because without men, we cannot win the issues of gender-based violence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next Commissioner is Ms. E. Rockman.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me just acknowledge and appreciate the input of all the other presenters as well as the participants. The information really feeds directly into the research that the FFC is doing. Nomonde referred to our research paper on gender that will be part of our 2022-23 submission. And the issues raised, including around gender-based violence, economic participation of women, empowerment, involvement of CBOs and NPOs, all become part of the gender responsive budgeting and planning. So let me thank everyone for their participation and input. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I'm going to the part that were for the district mayors. Dr. Tebuho, are you still there for Enkangala? Dr. Tebuho, the one who was presenting the executive mayor of Enkangala. Okay, let me go to MMC Ntlapo for Hertzibande.
Thanks, Chairperson. Chairperson, I've already submitted my contacts for Unomonde as she requested. I've already submitted my contacts so that he can be able to contact me. The other one is that one of Ubongegile. The report that I presented, it's for Garsibande District Municipality, not for municipalities. But in terms of our AIDS council, the municipalities, they do report in the district AIDS councils. So they do have their own programs. Maybe Ubongegile, she can participate also in the AIDS Council of the local AIDS Council of Chief Albert Lutul. But as the district, this is the report that was the report that we have presented. Uboizi is very correct. We have Uba Maisela, who is the coordinator Garsibande for people with disabilities. I think there are so many programs that as Garsibande district municipality, we have done as especially for the people with disabilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the presenters and all who participated. I think Deputy Chair will hand over to you because I'm checking the one who was presenting the Enkangala District Mayor. She's not on the participants now. I think now the program is coming to an end. I will hand over to Honorable Lucas to do the vote of thanks and a way forward. Over to you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malika. I also want to thank Honorable Tebogo Modise for chairing the program so capably. And I just want also to make one or two observations on the issues that have been raised. And I must say that the first presentation by, the first municipality, assist me, is it Enkangala or is it Enkangala?
Enkangala District Municipality.
Enkangala.
No, Honorable, it's Nka, NK. Enkangala, that's correct.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to find out because there is different spellings, and that is the reason why I'm saying that. I made an observation that we had a law reform conference as part of our Women's Charter review to see what is the legislation that is available and what have been achieved through that legislation. And one of the issues that really came to the fore strongly was exactly the issue of SARS and the widowhood, and also the issue of customary marriages. So, in fact, the issue that was raised by the municipality is one issue that is a current issue, and that is something that is an experience of many women that is there. But I'm just mentioning it because we are not here. We want proposals as to how we can take it forward in terms of our program and put it in the sphere of local and provincial government and also national government, so that there can be a comprehensive response to the issues that are being raised within the review of the Women's Charter. So also the issue of it is actually in Mpumalanga that I found the issue of age restriction. I will call it age restriction that are being raised with regards to issues of job placement and so on. In our high-level session, we will take it up with the provincial government of Mpumalanga, because in other provinces, particularly with regards to EPWP, CWP, and so on, you find that even pensioners is being employed within the programs. So we will just, the issue of age restriction is something that we have noticed, and it is something that is quite coming up. It came up from a few participants, but also the issues of the implementation part and the cooperation between the local authorities and the CBOs and NGOs. I think it's also an issue that we will take further, we will raise further, but we also need more activism with regards to implementation of some of the issues that have been raised here. But also I think a question came from one of the local municipalities as to, I will put it as I understand it, the issue is what is gender budgeting. There is not a general understanding of what we mean when we speak about gender budgeting. And I think the FFC take note of that, and we will also make sure that the Premier's office begin to make sure that officials in the financial sections of municipalities begin to understand exactly what we mean when we speak about gender budgeting. And then also civil society have got a very important role just to fulfill, to make sure that we need to address the issues. And we really want to partner with civil societies on all the areas with regards to women empowerment and the issues of the Women's Charter. But specifically also, we have raised in our debate in the NCOP, or when the president visited the NCOP, we raised some issues. And one of the issues that we have raised is exactly what they've been raised by one of the participants. That is the issue of sensitivity training for police and justice, particularly police, because they are the first point of call for any woman that have been abused or raped or assaulted, so that they should be able to deal with it with the necessary sensitivity. We have actually we have tabled such a motion in the NCOP in the presence of President in the question session, where President actually responded to say it's exactly why they want to expand the Tutuzela care centers, so that women raped or so can go first to where they will get professional services before they will be going to any other point where they will report that. So I think that is the few issues that I thought, let me also just comment on it. And then I want to emphasize the fact that this is a review process. As Parliament, we are having an oversight responsibility, and we need to hold the executive accountable. So first point of call after these sessions, what we usually do in any province is to meet at a high level with the cabinet and the premier and the cabinet of any province to report some of the issues that we feel that at their level they can immediately address it. That is the first point of call. At the end of the whole process, there is now only with the 5 districts of Western Cape outstanding, we will process the issue as to make sure that the presidency and the Department of Women take note of the issues. And then also from Parliament side, we want to publish the Women's Charter, the reviewed Women's Charter, or the revised Women's Charter. What The Women's Charter does not restrict. It's the activism and the actions that need to be taken at all levels to make sure that we address the issues of women. That is the point that I want to make. And having said that, let me then start by thanking the participants, particularly the women of civil society and those of communities that contributed here and that participated in Mpumalanga have been very successful. I must say that we saw record numbers of people logging on to be part and parcel of this. So we want to express our appreciation to the Deputy Speaker also, to the two chairpersons of the different sessions, Honorable Modise and Honorable Maleka, to our House Chair, Ms. Winnie Ngwenya, that also logged on, to other members of Parliament, particularly NCOP members, also the members of EFF, and I saw the member of the NCOP, Honorable Latuli, and also Honorable Ndongeni from the ANC side. So we have noticed also Dr. I remember she was also with us last week, also a MP, and we thank them for the fact that they have actually contributed to the success of this event. To our presenters, we still depend on you for the outstanding events, and we really appreciate the fact that we know there is consistency in those that will come and make sure that we have the information. And I particularly want to express our appreciation to the commissioner of the CGE from Mpumalanga, because we can see that there is a lot of involvement of the commission in the issues that the women have been raising. But from a general perspective, particularly FFC, thank you very much, Commissioner Rockman, because you also brought a different dimension in the inputs that you have added to the presentation. And also to SSA, you are really our trusted partner, and I am glad to see that in terms of confidence in your reports, there is confidence throughout the continent in the work that Stats SA is doing to make sure that we have correct information and that our budgets and our programs are informed by the kind of statistics that, because without stats, you cannot plan, and without plan, you cannot execute. So the role that you are playing is extremely important, and we are really impressed with the fact that we could see all the different platforms that I attend. I can see there is confidence in the kind of work that you are doing and the kind of stats that you have. Because if we don't have confidence in the stats that we are getting, we won't be able to have confidence in the execution of our plans. So we want to express our appreciation. So to all of you that have been here, to the main sector, Reverend, all of you that worked with us, this is a process and not an event. So at the end of the process, when we are going to present, you will still be part and parcel of the work that we are doing. To the staff, to the officers of the Deputy Speaker and the Deputy Chairperson, to our officials that make sure that our Zoom meetings is successful, Kevin and all the others, to the communications, Shirley and all of the team that is part and parcel of our work. Let us express our appreciation. Members, we are listening to the national budget as presented by the Minister of Finance. Let us hear what is in store for South Africa, although we are facing a lot of challenges, but we think there is still hope in what we are doing. Thank you very much, and this event stands adjourned. Thank you. And if anyone have not been mentioned, I'm sorry, I have definitely not mentioned our provincial speaker, Mashiba, forgive me, but because you have been always with us, and also the office of the Premier, you have been always with us, we don't want to leave out anyone. Mpumalanga, you did so well, and we thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Malibongwe.
Kamala Makhosikazi.
Thank you.
Malibongwe
Malibongwe.
Igama lamakhosikazi.
Malibongwe igama lamakhosikazi.
Lamakhosikazi malibongwe.
Malibongwe.
Thank you.
Malibongwe. Thank you very much.
Take us to the Lord.
Malibongwe.
Ana contract le bona.
Malibongwe.
Ana contract. It don't matter anymore. How do you assess
Malibongwe.
the 10,000
Watita bafazi.
You might
Anthuthukile kuphi?
You.
Ngona.
Vela ku-video sikubone ngesindebele sakho.
Ngona uthuthukile ukhona. Ngifakile la ngifake umshado. Wena ufika ngithuthukile kuphi?
Mambethi sibonga ukuthi ukhiphe imask.
Yeah, ngiyakubona manje thuthukile. Yes, Thembisani. Yeah.
Ngikhona.
Siyabonga. Siyabonga noma sihlulekile thina abanye ukuthi singene ngenxa